Chapter 31-33. They couldn't enter or leave. This place was isolated from the rest of the world. This ancestral hall was Xia Mingtao's place of life and death. Everyone was afraid of the things that killed them and the place where they died, even if they became ghosts. Because it was to judge Xia Mingtao in a righteous way, the villagers even opened the ancestral hall. Before she was pulled into the ancestral hall, her skin had already been scratched and she was thrown into the ancestral hall. The ancestral hall contained the family tree and ancestral tablets. These men in the village defiled Xia Mingtao in the ancestral hall. They didn't give her any food or saliva. They probably wanted the ancestors to punish her. If she didn't die, then she didn't deserve to die. If she died, then she was guilty. After Xia Mingtao died, she became a malicious ghost and killed the villagers one by one, bringing great panic to the mountain village. She killed men, women, children, and the elderly. The men who defiled her died the most miserable deaths. As for those who gossiped and slandered Xia Mingtao, their tongues were cut off one by one. They wouldn't die immediately after their tongues were cut off. They would usually suffer for a few days. In addition, they were frightened by the malicious ghost. Their eyes were wide open and filled with fear. After they died, Xia Mingtao would eat these people's bodies one by one. If it was a man, he would let the man be eaten alive and watch his own body being eaten. These men would cry and beg for mercy in fear. They would no longer look at her with disgusted eyes. These people in the ancestral hall were the only people left in the mountain village. Later, the villagers gradually discovered a pattern. This female ghost never went close to the ancestral hall. The female ghost would only wander around the ancestral hall and wouldn't come in. Therefore, they hid in the ancestral hall and didn't go out. However, there was nothing in the ancestral hall. Without food, they would starve to death. Some people took advantage of the dawn to go home to look for things, but even during the day, Xia Mingtao was still active. After killing these people, she dragged them to the ancestral hall. In front of these people, he chewed on them raw with crunching sounds. The bones were directly chewed in her mouth, making a lot of chewing sounds. Those who weren't mentally strong were scared out of their wits. They only wanted to leave this place and rushed out of the ancestral hall. Of course, the result was still death. Ning Shu leaned against the wall and shivered. This place had become the territory of the female ghost. Everyone here was waiting to be slaughtered. Of course, whether these villagers lived or died had nothing to do with Ning Shu, so he wouldn't do anything. If killing all these people could make the female ghost lose her resentment, then Ning Shu would watch the female ghost kill these people without any objection. If the villagers hadn't done such a thing and willfully indulged their human nature, such a thing wouldn't have happened. Since he had done it, he deserved revenge. Sometimes, it was better to be feared than to be bullied. Weren't you very capable when you were bullying others? Now you're rushing up and doing it. The weak flames shone on everyone's bodies, but this little bit of light could not dispel the cold on their bodies. Their faces were distorted and filled with fear. There were nearly 100 people in the village, but now there were only a few left. Some people in the ancestral hall were muttering. If one listened carefully, it sounded like they were chanting Buddhist scriptures. Some people rubbed the incense in the ancestral hall on their bodies, as if the ashes could scare the female ghost. Outside, the whistling wind blew mournfully. The ancestral hall was like a small boat in the tide, about to be destroyed at any time. The atmosphere was dead silent. Fear pressed on everyone's hearts. Even breathing hurt. Ning Shu looked at the two women. The woman also felt Ning Shu's gaze. She walked over and asked, "Fatty Hua, how do you feel?" Ning Shu shook his head. "Not very good. The Yin Qi has entered my body. I'm afraid it won't be very easy to complete." Ning Shu straightforwardly said that he was a mission enforcer. The two women nodded. "That's true. The magnetic field here is covered by resentment. It's equivalent to Xia Mingtao having endless clones. Our methods are not easy to use. This mission is a bit difficult," a woman said. She leaned over a thin middle-aged woman. Her face was mean, and her cheekbones were high. At first glance, one could tell that she had an unkind face. Speaking of which, she was also a friend of Fatty Hua's body. Usually, when they had nothing to do, they would get together and gossip. She was also the main force that slandered and ridiculed Xia Mengtao. She followed Fatty Hua into Xia Mengtao's house and abused Xia Mengtao's face and body. When we came, almost everyone was killed. I guess they didn't kill us because they wanted to leave the main course for later. You, me, and her are the most direct people who persecuted Xia Mengtao, said Tian Suiyu, who had high cheekbones and a mean face. Because she was not good-looking, she was jealous of the beautiful Xia Mengtao. This was even uglier than her ugly face. Now, the three of them had gathered. There were 6 people and 3 people were missing. Ning Shu looked over there. Those 3 should have already arrived. Ning Shu said to Tian Suiyu, "Thank you for saving me." At that time, she had already wanted to abandon this body and fight Xia Mengtao in the form of a soul. Now, she acted according to the situation. The other 2 women's faces were full of disdain. Clearly, they had no pity for the people in the ancestral hall. After they left, the bodies they possessed would also die. Perhaps they were already dead, so it would be easier for the task takers to take over the bodies. Hurry up and deal with it. After Xia Mengtao takes revenge, she will also lose control. After all, she has been corroded by evil energy and ghost energy. We don't know what will happen. She won't stop harming people, said Tian Zuiyu. The sky was getting darker. The outside of the ancestral hall was as dark as ink. Nothing could be seen. The people in the ancestral hall did not dare to extinguish the flames. No one knew what would happen after they were extinguished. It was so dark that they would not even know if the female ghost was next to them. They tore down everything in the ancestral hall that could be burned. The ancestral tablets and the genealogy books were used to ignite the fire. Some people could not bear it and fell asleep. After a while, another woman and 2 men came over. They were obviously task takers. They were now gathered. Everyone used the name of this body to communicate. Everyone gathered together to discuss how to deal with the female ghost. Because of the twisted magnetic field here, many things could not be used. Even their own abilities were suppressed. However, the female ghost was like a fish in water. Now, the ancestral hall only temporarily stopped the female ghost from entering. It was not that the female ghost could not enter. It was just that she was timid and did not dare to recall what had happened when she was alive. However, it did not mean that she could not enter. Therefore, this place was very unsafe. The most likely reason was that Xia Mengtao did it on purpose. It made people think that they had found a refuge. When their hope was broken again, the despair and fear at that time were unbearable. Although their voices were relatively low, the ancestral hall was very quiet. Everyone could hear their voices. Chapter 31-34. No, that bitch can't be killed. It's useless, a man suddenly shouted. His face was contorted with incomparable nervousness. Then he rushed in front of them. Can you kill her? Kill her. I've had enough. I've had enough. The man's body stank of sweat. His bad breath was unbearable. In the ancestral hall, one could face life and death at any time. Who would have the mood to brush their teeth? Ning Shu covered his nose. Everyone else stayed away from this crazy man. The man suddenly grabbed Tian Suiyu, who was closest to him. Can you kill her? Let go. Tian Suiyu scolded in a low voice. The man was shocked by Tian Suiyu. Then, an even more crazy smile appeared on his face. You bitch. You came to me behind your man's back. You're a whore. Everyone in the mountain village was saying that Xia Mengtao was an adulterer, but this Tian Suiyu was the one who was really an adulterer. She despised Xia Mengtao very much. When she mentioned Xia Mengtao, her face was full of contempt. It was as if talking about Xia Mengtao made her mouth dirty. She appeared to be incomparably pure. Get lost. Tian Suiyu raised her eyebrows. There was an inviolable aura around her, causing a trace of fear to flash in the eyes of the man with bad breath. You want Xia Mengtao to die so much? Isn't it because you're afraid that many people will say that you're an adulterer? The man was annoyed and spat out a mouthful of phlegm. The aunts and daughters-in-law were talking about Xia Mengtao seducing men. They also said that no other woman in the village was an adulterer. Usually, this was the time when Tian Suiyu felt the most guilty. She thought to herself, who would be as shameless as Xia Mengtao? Basically, the people that the mission enforcers possessed were the people who indirectly or directly killed Xia Mengtao. Everyone in the mountain village was a murderer. Ning Shu and Tian Suiyu were speechless. They were also very disgusted. What kind of man was this? If he had the ability, he should go and kill ghosts. He only knew how to make trouble for them. A coward who bullied the weak and feared the strong. Ning Shu's face was full of fat. Do you believe that I won't throw you out? You keep talking. Don't fucking open your mouth. Your breath stinks. It's suffocating. The man was so frightened that his face was distorted and his body was trembling. He was so ugly that it was unbearable to look at. He had seen many ugly people, but it was rare to see someone so ugly that it made him want to vomit. Not only was his face ugly, but there was also a stench that came from the depths of his soul. Ning Shu almost thought that he smelled the smell of an evil beast. Xia Mengtao must have taken things too hard to eat such filthy things. Xia Mengtao's body had already been contaminated beyond recognition. Son, fatty son, you dare? The man stuttered and couldn't even speak clearly. His saliva splattered out and dripped down the corner of his mouth. Ning Shu was so disgusted that he wanted to get him out and let Xia Mengtao kill him. In the end, a long arm stretched into the ancestral hall like a snake and stopped behind the man. It wrapped around the man and dragged him out of the ancestral hall. The man was so frightened that he peed his pants. The smell of urine was so strong that it mixed with the ancestral hall. He shouted at the top of his lungs, "Help! Help me! Help me!" The man's legs kicked on the ground, and his body rubbed against the rough ground, drawing blood. In the face of the man's cry for help, no one dared to go forward. Instead, they stayed further away and huddled together, trembling. They were afraid that they would be swept away by the long arm. What made everyone feel the most horrified and desperate was that Xia Mengtao could capture people from the ancestral hall. In other words, the ancestral hall was no longer safe. The man's wails were very loud, mixed with the sound of a beast chewing. It made the people in the ancestral hall stand still. The man seemed to be in extreme pain as he let out a beast-like scream. He couldn't even say a word. He couldn't ask for help, beg for mercy, or curse. He couldn't say anything, only wails. These wails lasted for a long time. It was obvious that the female ghost didn't kill him immediately. Instead, she ate his body bit by bit, making him suffer endless pain and taste his fear. The people in the ancestral hall felt like years. They covered their ears when they heard the wails, not wanting to hear them. However, the wails and chewing sounds still reached everyone's ears. Some timid people covered their mouths and cried. They were afraid that if they cried, they would interrupt the female ghosts feeding and capture them. It was pitch black outside. They couldn't see anything. The more they couldn't see, the more frightened they were. People's imagination was unlimited. They could even think about where the female ghost started to eat people's bodies. The more they thought about it, the more scared they became. They felt like they were scaring themselves to death. This was the female ghost's goal. She wanted these people to feel extreme fear. Moreover, killing people was random. No one knew when they would die. Maybe it would be the last one. Maybe it would be them in the next second. Maybe it would be them in an hour. People were in extreme fear all the time. It was easy for people to lose control of their emotions and even fight with their own people. The female ghost was like a mastermind behind the scenes, controlling everyone's death. She was so powerful. She didn't seem like the Xia Mengtao who had been bullied when she was alive. The hatred in her heart filled her with strength. Ning Shu and the other 5 mission enforcers all looked indifferent. It was as if they didn't hear the screams. The situation outside didn't affect them at all. In fact, the people in the ancestral hall had nothing to do with the mission enforcers. They weren't responsible for their safety. These people didn't contribute anything and weren't the mission enforcers. Moreover, based on what they had done, the mission enforcers had no reason to find trouble for themselves to help them. They only needed to deal with Xia Mengtao. They couldn't let Xia Mengtao affect the plane. Ning Shu breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, none of the mission enforcers stood up and said that they wanted to save people. Moreover, these frightened villagers couldn't help them deal with Xia Mengtao. In the past, they could deal with the unarmed Xia Mengtao. Now that Xia Mengtao had a sharp blade in her hand, it was their turn to be dealt with. This was a place outside the law. Even if the villagers killed and defiled Xia Mengtao, they wouldn't be punished by the law. Firstly, this was the beginning of the country. Secondly, this place was too remote. The local clans had too much power to execute people. It was the rule of man, not the rule of law. Whether you were guilty or not depended on man's words, not the law. Since they were human, they had desires, biases, and selfishness. Gradually, the voice of the man being dragged out became weaker and weaker. He was probably dead. However, the chewing sound didn't stop. The sound of bones being chewed sounded like bones being chewed. It gave off a crunchy feeling. For some reason it tasted good. However, when they thought that the bones they were chewing were human bones, they were horrified. Later, the chewing sound stopped. Occasionally, there were two whimpering sounds of the wind. Chapter 31-35. In the dead silent night, the air seemed to have frozen. It was so quiet that it was scary. The meal was over, but the people in the ancestral hall still didn't dare to move. The ancestral hall, which they thought was safe, was no longer safe. There was no shelter. Could they only be slaughtered by the female ghost? The night was particularly difficult. They didn't know if they could see the sun tomorrow. Ning Shu closed his eyes. He really felt tired, and his body was alternating between cold and hot. He wasn't worried about being eaten at all. He just needed to escape when the time came. He wouldn't let Xia Mengtao eat him. He just needed to eat the woman's body. His soul couldn't be eaten by her. Xia Mengtao would not only eat his flesh and drink his blood bit by bit, but she would also eat his soul and tear it apart. Otherwise, those who were eaten wouldn't have screamed so miserably. The pain of the soul and the body was probably the cruelest torture in the world. Obviously, dying quickly at this time was an extravagant hope. She wanted to torture people bit by bit and make them collapse. The other 5 mission enforcers saw Ning Shu sleeping and didn't say anything. The night wasn't good for fighting, so they just rested. They leaned against the wall and began to rest. They weren't worried that Xia Mengtao would come. She had already eaten one person. It was enough for Xia Mengtao to rest and digest. The body was easy to digest, but the soul wasn't so easy to digest. This way, she could vent her hatred and make her stronger. There was no danger tonight. Although they could rest at ease, the others in the ancestral hall didn't dare. At this time, when Xia Mengtao was mentioned, their faces were no longer lewd and perverted. Instead, they were twisted and scared. They didn't even dare to say a word of obscenity. They were afraid that Xia Mengtao would find them. The aura of despair passed to everyone. They were trapped here, alone and helpless. At that time, Xia Mengtao was also abandoned here. No one helped her. She was also alone and helpless, waiting for death. They felt that Xia Mengtao was doing it on purpose. Maybe she wasn't afraid of entering the ancestral hall. She was driving people here to let them have a taste of their own feelings before death. In the middle of the night, Ning Shu woke up. He was really uncomfortable. He was woken up by the cold. His body had a fever, and his wounds were infected. Ning Shu took 2 pills. This was yin qi entering his body. Although taking medicine might not be of any use, it was better than nothing. Ning Shu drew a talisman on his heart, but he couldn't draw a complete talisman. The talisman dissipated halfway through. After taking the medicine, Ning Shu went back to sleep. He slept all the way until dawn. When he woke up, his whole body was covered in cold sweat. After what happened last night, the faces of the people in the ancestral hall were pale and twisted. Furthermore, someone had committed suicide. He had used a small branch to pierce his own throat. The branch pierced through the back of his head. There were some white spots on it which might be brain matter. Some people couldn't take it anymore. Knowing that they couldn't escape, they decided to commit suicide so that they wouldn't have to endure the inhumane torture. If he committed suicide, at least his soul wouldn't be eaten by Xia Mengtao. This person's suicide made the atmosphere in the ancestral hall extremely gloomy and irritable. It was estimated that a single spark would cause an immediate explosion. It was so oppressive that it made people despair. All they needed was a little bit of stimulation and their nerves would collapse. Ning Shu and the other mission enforcers didn't feel anything about this person's death at all. They began to discuss the battle plan. After carefully analyzing the current situation, it was a little difficult to make Xia Mengtao give up revenge and turn back. It was hatred and resentment that made Xia Mengtao come back to life. Moreover, Xia Mengtao had already been contaminated. The more flesh and souls she ate, the more serious the contamination would be. Xia Mengtao's own mind would also be corroded. People could be blinded by hatred, let alone their own deaths. Secondly, if they fought Xia Mengtao head-on, their side would be suppressed greatly. On the other hand, Xia Mengtao's side would definitely have a huge cheat. She could kill people in one move. Therefore, this mission was very difficult. I don't want to stay here. I want to leave. I want to leave this damn place. Well, why is it like this? I didn't want to. I'm sorry. I didn't do it on purpose. The man's expression was crazy. Ning Shu curled his lips. Sorry. The apology now was useless. If Xia Mengtao hadn't returned for revenge, these people would have realized their mistakes. No, they would only think that Xia Mengtao deserved it. You can't go out. You'll definitely die if you go out. Someone grabbed the man. The ancestral hall wasn't safe, but it definitely wasn't safe outside. Then what should we do? What should we do? We'll all die. The man was extremely neurotic. In the end, he actually took off his pants and scratched his crotch until it was bloody. It was as if he had a deep hatred for that place. It was extremely painful, but his expression was fierce. He scratched his crotch until it was unrecognizable. Fresh blood gushed out. The man's whole body convulsed. He covered his crotch and curled up like a shrimp, moaning in pain. More and more blood flowed out, and the man's face became more and more gray. He bled to death. When the people present saw this scene, all of them tightened their buttholes and felt their balls ache. Especially the men, because many people had tainted Xia Mengtao. The men in the village probably wouldn't let go of such a good opportunity. Ning Shu sighed. Sigh, what's the use of this iron rod? Sure enough, it wasn't a root. Everything would be over if he went. Tian Suiyu turned to look at Ning Shu, but didn't say anything. 2 people committed suicide. Some people with low tolerance began to cry out of fear. The ancestral hall was filled with the smell of blood. It felt like a bloody storm. The smell of human excrement was really indescribable. It was suffocating. The 2 corpses were thrown out of the ancestral hall. Some people even silently hoped that the female ghost would eat these corpses and not come to find them. Although this was an extravagant hope. There was some food in the ancestral hall, but no one could swallow it. The children were scared out of their wits. They looked dazed and didn't know how to cry or speak. They were scared silly. Children's souls were easy to disperse. After such a thing happened, a part of their souls left their bodies, drifted, and finally disappeared. They lost a part of their soul power for no reason. Some parents held their children who had lost their minds and cried. They muttered, "What a sin, what a sin." Ning Shu took 2 more pills. His body was probably corroded by the yin qi. Even if the people in this mountain village weren't killed by Xia Mengtao, they would eventually go crazy and die while bathing in the yin qi. Even during the day, the entire mountain village was covered in black fog. The 6 mission enforcers discussed and couldn't come to a decision. If they had absolute strength, they would directly crush them. Now that they were thinking about it, it was nothing more than that. If they didn't have enough strength, they definitely wouldn't be as good as breaking through directly. Chapter 31-36. The 6 of them looked at each other and cursed in the end. How could they fight against such a powerful enemy? They would be completely defeated by the female ghost. Ning Shu asked, "Do you have any props?" "I only brought fasting pills and water. I can guarantee that no one will be hungry later." Everyone was speechless. A man said, "I do have some props, but I don't know if they will work on the female ghost. They are knives." There were not many restrictions on knives. After all, Knives were common weapons no matter what plane they were in. It was definitely impossible to take out grenades in the ancient plane. Ning Shu said, "Why don't we talk to Xia Mengtao and try peaceful means before resorting to force?" If they could make things clear, they would not make the first move. The problem was that they might not have a chance of winning. Tian Suiyu said, "We are wearing the skin that Xia Mengtao hates the most. Do you think Xia Mengtao will listen to us? If we let Xia Mengtao kill us, our mission will be considered finished. Besides, she might not be appeased after killing us, and her resentment will disappear. She is now at the end of the road. She is devouring flesh and souls. Those souls will pollute her sooner or later. The greed, jealousy, possessiveness, and fear in those mixed souls will all be absorbed by Xia Mengtao." In this place, there was basically no one who could restrain Xia Mengtao. Ning Shu touched his chin and felt a little helpless. He could not talk to her and he could not beat her. He was a little worried. Ning Shu looked at the people in the ancestral hall. There were more than 20 people left. There were only a few people left in the mountain village. If he waited for Xia Mengtao to kill these people and devour them, Xia Mengtao would become even stronger. Therefore, it was better to deal with Xia Mengtao as soon as possible. Everyone spent the day in anxiety. As soon as the sun set, the whole mountain village became very dark and nothing could be seen. The only light was the fire in the ancestral hall. It looked very scary from afar. At night, everyone was even more frightened and looked like they would faint at any time. However, they did not dare to faint. They were afraid that if they fainted, they would be thrown out of the ancestral hall and fed to the malicious ghosts. In the face of survival, people were selfish. Now, these people in the ancestral hall were huddling together for warmth, but they were also on guard against each other. Ning Shu's group of 6 formed a small group and occupied a space in the ancestral hall. They carried an atmosphere that forbade strangers from entering, making it impossible for others to enter their group. The wind rustled the trees, and the cold wind that came in through the door and windows blew the flames away. It was clearly the middle of summer, but everyone felt a chill in their bones. The sound of footsteps approached them step by step. It was getting closer and clearer. 1 step, 2 steps. It was as if someone was stepping on their ears. The sound was incomparably clear. She was so scared that she trembled and covered her mouth tightly, afraid that she would cry out. It was the sound of the wooden door being blown open by the wind. The flame flickered twice and almost went out. Ah! One of them suddenly screamed, scared out of her wits. Then, a long hand reached in and pulled the screaming woman away. The woman was terrified and trembled. Finally, she fainted. Then, there was the sound of a woman screaming and wailing outside the door. There was also the sound of chewing. Although these sounds were very scary, everyone in the room was relieved. One of them had been caught by the malicious ghost, so they were temporarily safe for a day. Listening to the wailing and the chewing sound, it was torturous. Ning Shu whispered, "She did it on purpose." A man said, "Of course." When she was alive, she lay in the ancestral hall, unable to move, waiting in horror for some man to defile her. Such a wait was desperate and terrifying. So, Xia Mengtao treated them like this. Ning Shu leaned on Tian Suiyu. "It's more comfortable to lean on someone." Tian Suiyu, "I'm a man." It was just that he had entered a woman's body. Ning Shu, "It's okay. I'm a man too." Ning Shu covered himself with the dirty and damp quilt. It was so cold. His arm was frozen. Where Xia Mengtao had bitten off his finger, there was a whooshing yin qi entering his body through the wound. This body couldn't hold on for long. He had to end this quickly, so that he wouldn't suffer here. Ning Shu leaned on Tian Suiyu and said to the 5 people, "I'll go to negotiate with Xia Mengtao tomorrow. I'll go alone. You guys don't go for now." The 5 people looked at him. "How do you want to talk to her? Xia Mengtao is not in a state where she can listen to you." Ning Shu yawned. "We'll talk about it later. If we keep waiting, when can we leave the world? If we keep waiting here, if something happens to the Bitwall, maybe we'll all be annihilated together with the Bitwall." The power of the Bitwall explosion was very strong. Except for the Bitwall, everything else was directly turned into tiny dust and powder. She wouldn't die, but he didn't know if her will would be destroyed. Although she could be reborn, she didn't want to be reborn so soon. Ning Shu slept a little more comfortably leaning on someone. In the morning he smelled of sweat. Ning Shu stood up and stretched. He said to the others, "I'll go first. If something happens to me, you guys can think of a way. Take this." Tian Sueyu handed the scissors to Ning Shu. Back then, the women had used these things to destroy Xia Mengtao's body. Her body had been destroyed, and men had also destroyed her mind. Ning Shu didn't ask for scissors. Xia Mengtao wasn't afraid of scissors. Maybe she was in the beginning, but now she wasn't. The people in the ancestral hall saw Ning Shu leave the ancestral hall. Some people wanted to say something, but in the end, they didn't say anything and watched Ning Shu walk away. Fatty Sun doesn't want to live anymore? She's the fiercest person to Xia Mengtao. She definitely won't let her go. Fatty Sun was twice the size of Xia Mengtao. She had a big round face. Not to mention a double chin, she was so fat that she didn't even have a chin and neck. Xia Mengtao had a slender body and a curvaceous figure. Even if she was wearing an ordinary and bloated cotton-padded jacket, she was still better looking than other women. These were all things that Fatty Sun could not have. In particular, her husband often talked about Xia Mengtao, which made Fatty Sun hate the fickle Xia Mengtao. If Xia Mengtao hadn't seduced men, why would her husband be thinking about that vixen Xia Mengtao all the time? Ning Shu wandered around the village. The fields were still planted with the Zhuang family. Because no one took care of them, weeds grew everywhere, and they grew better than the Zhuang family. Ning Shu put his hand to his mouth and shouted, "Xia Mengtao, come out. I'm looking for you." Ning Shu's voice spread far and wide. He was surrounded by mountains and echoed. A cold wind blew around, and a strong yin energy made people feel as if they had fallen into an ice cellar. Even the cracks of their bones were emitting cold air. A woman appeared in front of him. She had a ponytail and was wearing an ordinary undershirt and embroidered shoes. Chapter 31-37. There were exquisite patterns on the embroidered shoes. These patterns were all embroidered by the woman herself, and the shoes were also made by herself. Sometimes, a pair of shoes could evoke a special feeling for a girl. Just by looking at such a pair of shoes, one would feel that there was a very beautiful girl standing in front of them. Xia Mengtao stood there charmingly. She had two thick and black braids, and there were some strands of hair on her forehead. Together with her face, she was not a ghost, but a gentle and virtuous beauty. Ning Shu couldn't help but pinch the excess fat on her waist. Every time she grabbed it, it would be filled to the brim. This comparison was really too cruel. Xia Mengtao seemed to feel that the woman in front of her had always been jealous of her appearance. She showed her most beautiful side and came to see Ning Shu in her most beautiful posture. Now that Xia Mengtao had the strength, she could openly accept the gazes of others. She even liked to see others jealous of her. That was because this jealousy was no longer important to her. She was strong. That was right. Only when she was strong could she show off what she had and not be afraid of others coveting it. Xia Mengtao's voice was cold and murderous. "Why are you looking for me?" Ning Shu said, "I want to talk to you." Xia Mengtao sneered. "Don't tell me you don't want me to kill you. You already know." Ning Shu shook his head. "You can kill whoever you want. It's none of my business even if you kill everyone in the village. What I want to talk to you about is your matter. I'm going to kill you too. What are you trying to say?" Xia Mengtao furrowed her delicate eyebrows. "Do you think that I will let you off just because you came to me and said such words? Fatty Sun, you probably don't know how it feels to have a knife cut your body." Ning Shu asked, "Is human meat delicious? Those people's bodies and souls are so dirty, yet you can still eat them. Does it feel uncomfortable?" Even the Black Fog baby didn't dare to be so ferocious. Ning Shu gave Xia Mengtao a thumbs up for her. Xia Mengtao said, "Of course it's delicious. Don't tell me you're going to keep eating meat like this." If everyone had a good discussion, we wouldn't have bothered to make a move. This was an ordinary and normal world, and there was no such thing as strange stories. To the plane, Xia Mengtao was probably a virus that shouldn't have appeared, causing the plane to collapse. This caused the Heavenly Axiom's computer to go out of control. It might have a blue screen. Wherever she went, she would destroy. Even if she didn't deliberately harm humans, the yin qi on her body would directly destroy them. If a fight broke out, it would cause harm to the plane. But if there were restrictions here, then he would change to another world station. Let's change to a world with no restrictions. Xia Mengtao looked at Ning Shu indifferently, as if she was looking at a dead person. Fatty son, what right do you have to say such things to me? No, you're not Fatty Sunday. Sun Penghua was a greedy and jealous woman. For you. Ning Shu touched the fat on his face. It seems that even my ugly face can't hide my beautiful soul. Xia Mengtao, you need to be beautiful with power to commit murder. Do you want to keep being like this and then self-destruct? Ning Shu left Sun Penghua's fat body, and his soul floated out. Sun Penghua's body fell to the ground softly. And Ning Shu seemed to have torn open the fat on his body, revealing his best state. This scene gave Xia Mengtao, who was a ghost, a fright. She looked at the floating Ning Shu. Ning Shu flipped his hair. I'm beautiful, right? I said, everyone is so beautiful, there's no need to kill each other. Ning Shu secretly heaved a sigh of relief. She didn't leave this place. In that case, he could complete the mission in another way. Previously, he didn't dare to leave Sun Penghua's body because he was afraid that the mission would be judged as a failure. If he failed, he would be teleported back. Probably because she was in a dead state, the system couldn't figure out whether she was dead or not. Tian Suiyu was speechless. The team members who secretly followed saw that Ning Shu had left Sun Penghua's body and was even comparing beauty with the other party. They were a little speechless. They were here to destroy Xia Mengtao, who was full of anger and resentment. They couldn't rely on beauty to make the other party retreat. Wasn't he a man? Xia Mengtao looked at Ning Shu. For you, the person who will destroy you. Have you thought about it? Ning Shu said to Xia Mengtao. Xia Mengtao's expression became ferocious. Her previous calmness and condescension disappeared. She also floated in the air and faced Ning Shu. Why should I be destroyed? Xia Mengtao was resentful. The skin on her face and body began to rot. Her snow-white skin was full of scars, as if the best silk had been cut. It was really a pity. Ning Shu covered his eyes with one hand and waved at Xia Mengtao with the other. Don't be like this. Don't you feel embarrassed to make yourself look like this in front of a beauty like me? I'm very beautiful. I don't need your ugliness to set me off. Xia Mengtao was stunned for a moment. Even the yin energy around her body froze. In the end, the wounds on her skin slowly healed and returned to being as white as snow. There was a slight blush on her face. Ning Shu put down his hand that was covering his eyes. That's right. Don't go crazy and become ugly so easily. You won't scare people. Being too ugly is not good for your mood. The onlooking team members were speechless. So what was going on now was to destroy Xia Mengtao, not compare beauty with her. There was no need to be entangled in the details. Who cared if she was beautiful or not? What did it have to do with beauty? Xia Mengtao asked, Who are you? The only people I want to take revenge on are these people. These people killed me. If you leave, I won't make things difficult for you. When Xia Mengtao said you, she looked at the brick wall over there. Obviously, she knew where someone was hiding. Ning Shu shook his head. We came for you in the first place. If we don't kill you, we won't go back. Xia Mengtao was furious. The scars on her face were faintly discernible. When she saw Ning Shu's flower-like face, she resisted the urge to let her body rot. Then don't blame me for being impolite. I'll kill all of you. If you kill us, there will be an endless stream of people coming to destroy you until you disappear, Ning Shu said indifferently. She stretched out her hand. Since we're going to fight, let's change places. Xia Mengtao took 2 steps back. This was her home ground. If she left here, her strength would decrease a lot. Moreover, the villagers hadn't all died yet. Her revenge wasn't over yet. Are Fatty Sun and Tian Suiyu dead? Xia Mengtao asked. They must be dead for these people to enter their bodies. Why did they die? She hadn't taken revenge on these people yet. How could they die? Chapter 3138. Your face is starting to rot again, Ning Shu reminded her. Xia Mengtao was furious. At this moment, she did not care about her face. Anger and disappointment filled her chest. Waves of yin qi that were as thick as ink floated out of her body. Moreover, there were whales in the yin qi. She could vaguely see the faces of the people who had died tragically in the village. When I was killed, no one came to punish those people. Those despicable people. I only want revenge now, but someone came to punish me. But why? They are all murderers. They are all murderers who defiled me. Xia Mingtao's two thick black braids spread out. Her hair was straight and fluttering. Like snakes, they reached out to Ning Shu and wrapped around Ning Shu. Ning Shu said indifferently, "This is just karma. It's fine that you killed those people, but why don't you find it disgusting and eat souls? Do you know how dirty souls are? The things that are removed from the souls are extremely smelly. It's dirtier than eating feces." Xia Mengtao was speechless. The onlookers were speechless. Ning Shu said, "Release the souls that you ate." "Never. I won't let them have a good time," Xia Mengtao said stubbornly. Her voice was sonorous and filled with grievance. There were too many injustices in the world. They were the ones who hurt her first, but no one punished them. She was punished by others. How ironic. Ning Shu said, "Don't try to be brave. These souls are swimming around in your soul. You won't have a good time. These souls have been contaminated by you. They can forget about being reborn as humans in their next life. The pool of rebirth would probably take away 3/4 of the soul power." "I won't." Xia Mengtao used her hair to wrap around Ning Shu. She gritted her teeth. The flesh on her face was falling off piece by piece. Her eyes were scarlet as she stared at Ning Shu. She looked like a child who had been wronged. Ning Shu was tied up by her hair. He did not struggle. He just looked at Xia Mengtao indifferently. "Because you are just a little strong, but not so strong that no one can punish you." Ning Shu said, "Release the souls you've swallowed. I'll take you to see something." "All right, before we leave, let's kill all those people in the ancestral hall. We've been playing for so long." "I won't." Ning Shu said, "Okay, listen to me. Also, don't eat rotten meat. It doesn't look good." Xia Mengtao said, "I won't." Ning Shu said, "By the way, you haven't seen how dirty the souls you eat are, right? Let me show you." Xia Mengtao shouted, "I won't." Ning Shu said, "All right, release the souls you've eaten. Aren't you tired of fighting with these souls all day long? You're really brave. You put a soul into your own soul. You're putting worms in your stomach and letting them fight in your soul. You'll be the one suffering." "Ah!" Xia Mengtao screamed. The sound wave knocked down the surrounding trees and houses. The team members hiding behind the wall were also exposed. "I said no. Are you listening to me?" Xia Mengtao used her hair to pierce Ning Shu's soul. Ning Shu nodded and looked at his chest. Then he looked up at Xia Mengtao. "Enough nonsense. Otherwise, I'll hit you." Ning Shu shook his head. Indeed, it was useless to talk. It was impossible to travel the world with just a mouth. Ning Shu felt that he still needed to cultivate. He should defeat the person first. Then talking would be useful. Xia Mengtao was on the verge of breaking down. She had probably met someone who was not afraid of her. Her identity and appearance as a malicious spirit did not deter the person in front of her at all. Moreover, the other party was talking to himself. Xia Mengtao was at a loss. When the team members saw that Ning Shu's soul was tied up, they frowned. They wanted to save him, but intense yin qi wrapped around the two of them. The two of them looked like they were trapped by the yin qi and were not allowed to enter. Tian Sueyu said, "Why is her soul still in this world? Usually, if the body of the person died, the mission would be considered a failure. She would still be in this world. She would still be in this world as a soul." This was strange. Ning Shu moved his neck and started warming up. It seemed that talking was useless. He could only fight. Ning Shu pulled out the hair that had pierced into his soul and condensed a black whip with his soul power. With a swing of his hand, the whip let out a crisp sound. The whip lashed toward Xia Mengtao. Xia Mengtao hurriedly defended herself. She blocked it with the thick resentment of the black fog. There were also ferocious faces in the black fog. With a bang, the black fog was pierced through. The souls in the black fog wailed in pain. Some of the souls were destroyed by Ning Shu. The whip burst open the black fog like a sword. Xia Mengtao, who was hiding behind the black fog, was revealed. The tail of the whip went straight for Xia Mengtao's face. With a bang, it left a bone-deep mark on Xia Mengtao's face. Xia Mengtao touched her face in a daze and shouted angrily, "You hit my face." Ning Shu said, "My mistake. I actually wanted to hit your body." Ning Shu wrapped the whip around Xia Mengtao's neck and pulled her in front of him. Xia Mengtao struggled hard and pulled Ning Shu's whip. The two of them were in a tug-of-war. Ning Shu looked calm on the surface, but he was cursing in his heart. Only soul power could be used here. He did not know if the soul power consumed here could be recovered. The reward this time was given by the main system. According to the stingy personality of the main system, it probably would not give much soul power. Ning Shu pulled Xia Mengtao in front of him. Facing a face that was beyond recognition, Ning Shu reached out and touched it. "Why do you have to do this? What a beautiful face." Xia Mengtao had probably never met someone like Ning Shu. For a moment, she did not know how to deal with him. Moreover, she could not defeat him. Xia Mengtao trembled when he touched her. Ning Shu said, "Spit out those souls. To be honest, I don't want to kill you." Xia Mengtao still shook her head. I won't. Then let's fight somewhere else." Ning Shu reached out and pinched Xia Mengtao's arm. Xia Mengtao bit Ning Shu's arm. "Biting me? Aren't you afraid of breaking your teeth?" Ning Shu smiled. He pointed his finger and a black hole appeared. He wanted to pull Xia Mengtao into the black hole. Xia Mengtao saw the black hole and fear appeared in her eyes. She stuttered and shouted, I won't go. Ning Shu said, "It's not up to you now." The onlookers. So what was the situation now? Drag Xia Mengtao into the world of reincarnation. Such resentment would harm the world of reincarnation. Such a soul full of resentment would harm the world of reincarnation in the world of reincarnation. It would also increase the burden of the world of reincarnation. After all, there were so many souls in the world of reincarnation. These souls more or less carried some negative things. Chapter 31-39. In a situation like Xia Mengtao's, the only way was to completely destroy her. Xia Mengtao cried helplessly. Her voice was especially loud and clear. Her voice was full of grievance, as if Ning Shu had done something to her. Ning Shu said, "Even if you cry, I will still pull you in. Do you know what is inside the black hole?" Xia Mengtao looked at Ning Shu with fear and tears in her eyes. Ning Shu said, "I won't tell you. Imagine it yourself." Xia Mengtao wiped her tears and asked, "Will I die? Do I have to die? Why is it like this? Why is the world like this?" Xia Mengtao asked. Ning Shu asked, "Then do you want to die or live?" Xia Mengtao looked at Ning Shu. "Sister, I want to live." Ning Shu said, "Then spit out the things you ate. You can't digest them and you will become very dirty. Don't eat everything. At least have some goals." Xia Mengtao bit her lips and looked conflicted. "I don't know if you are lying to me." The things she absorbed could make her suffer, but they could also make her stronger. If she really spat them out, her ability would be weakened a lot. At that time, she would really be at the mercy of others. These people were here to judge her and destroy her. She couldn't believe them. Ning Shu didn't say anything. He just looked at Xia Mengtao and understood her struggle and doubts. If it were him, a person was an enemy. Weakening his strength would only make his situation worse. He would rather fight with all his strength than lower his combat ability. Even if we don't come and fail, there will be more people coming. We are considered weak. If we fail, they will reevaluate your combat strength and send more people. At that time, you will be killed in one move. So, you can only trust me now, Ning Shu said to her. If you believe me, spit out these things, kill those people in the ancestral hall, and vent your anger. Then come with me, Ning Shu said. If you believe me, you still have a chance to live. If you don't, then only death awaits you. Xia Mengtao sneered. She didn't know what she was laughing at. There were too many things she was laughing at. She was laughing at Ning Shu, laughing at herself, and laughing at the things in this world. She opened her mouth, and a thick black fog rushed out from her mouth. There were dozens of souls in the black fog. The faces of these souls were twisted so much that their facial features could not be seen. It was hard to tell whether it was joy from breaking free or fear. Xia Mengtao vomited for a long time before she finally spat out all the black mist. Her soul had become somewhat dim, and she had lost a lot of power. Ning Shu smiled. What a good girl. Even after spitting out the black fog, Xia Mengtao's body still had a strong resentment. This resentment was the foundation of her survival. Without this resentment, Xia Mengtao would not be alive. He wouldn't come back for revenge. Ning Shu asked, "You can control your resentment, right?" Sometimes, the righteous energy of heaven and earth was power, and the resentment of heaven and earth was also power. It all depended on whether one could withstand such power. Control it well. This resentment is your power, Ning Shu said to her. Her death was still a frightening existence, but wasn't she still alive? She used resentment as her power, and resentment was something that had never dissipated. Humans were creatures that were easily moved, and they were also creatures that were very easy to resent. Sister, I have high hopes for you. If you control your resentment, you will become very powerful, Ning Shu said with a smile. The premise was that the resentment in one's body did not affect others, the plane, or the place where one was. Then one needed to control the resentment. One could restrain the resentment and look like an ordinary soul. If one did not want to be controlled by the resentment, then one had to control the resentment. It depended on whether one had such a mind. Ning Shu looked at Xia Mengtao. If you control it well, you will be reborn. Xia Mengtao shook her head and said, I don't know what to do. Compress the resentment in your dantian and form something like an inner core, so that the resentment won't run around in your soul. This way, you won't be a resentment generator. Actually, your revenge is almost done. Those people dared to bully you because you are weak. You are weak and beautiful. When you are strong, will those people still dare to bully you? So, do you understand? Xia Mengtao asked. Understand what? Ning Shu said, when you have the strength, if someone reaches out to you again, you can chop off their hand. If someone says something unpleasant, you can tear their mouth apart. Revenge is only a small part of it. Strength is the foundation. Xia Mengtao cried until her shoulders trembled. First she sobbed, then she wailed. The crying didn't stop for a long time, and it traveled very far. Everyone in the ancestral hall trembled in fear. This was Xia Mengtao's voice. When Xia Mengtao was alive, crying would only lead to humiliation, but now, the slightest emotional fluctuation of Xia Mengtao was enough to make everyone panic. What was this? This was strength. Seeing Xia Mengtao cry like this, the 5 mission enforcers breathed a sigh of relief. This meant that she had been convinced. But so what if she was convinced? The problem was how to deal with this person. There was no place to settle down. Ning Shu put away the whip. It consumed some soul power again. If the soul power was less this time, she wouldn't do such a mission next time. She put in effort and money, but in the end she still lost money. Ning Shu tiptoed and said to the 5 mission enforcers, now the mission is half completed. Now we have to let Xia Mengtao control the resentment in her body. How do we control it? Tian Suiyu asked, glancing at the crying Xia Mengtao. Anyway, with her current strength. Ning Shu said, even if she loses her strength, we can't beat her. Tian Suiyu asked, not even you? Ning Shu spread his hands. Of course not. Do you think suppression is a joke? And just now, I can't even imagine how much I lost. I'm obviously doing a losing business. Even if they could pull such heavy resentment into the world of samsara, they had to wait until Xia Mengtao could control it at will. Now, everyone think of a way. I'll settle Xia Mengtao down. Now, we have to make Xia Mengtao a harmless person. The 5 mission enforcers' expressions were a bit indescribable. How could Xia Mengtao control the resentment? Ning Shu waved to Xia Mengtao and asked her to come over. Then he introduced her to the others. They are with me. They will find a way to let you control the resentment in your body. Xia Mengtao looked at the skin of these people, and her expression was also indescribable. Staying with these enemies, she was afraid that she would riot at any time, not to mention controlling it. This mission was really fucked up. Everyone racked their brains to find a way. Chapter 3140. The result of the discussion was for Xia Mengtao to find a way to concentrate the resentment in a certain part of her body where it could be stored, such as her dantian. If she could compress it, it would be even better, just like when she cultivated the golden core. However, Xia Mengtao was full of resentment, and resentment was not something that could be controlled. It was Xia Mengtao's own resentment. She was a walking black gas manufacturing machine. Xia Mengtao did as the 6 of them said, but they all failed. She bit her lip. I'm going to kill the people in the ancestral hall. Maybe if I kill them, I won't be controlled by the resentment. Ning Shu said, don't worry. If you really get what you won't have any power and will die. You won't devour the souls of those people in the ancestral hall anymore. Let them scare you. When you can control your resentment, you can kill them. Xia Mengtao suddenly smiled. Sister, you are so naughty. Ning Shu was speechless. Tian Suiyu wanted to say something but hesitated. She pulled Ning Shu aside and whispered, if Xia Mengtao really gets what she wants, wouldn't it be good for her to disappear? There was no need to waste so much effort. Ning Shu said indifferently, it's better to expect a pie to fall from the sky than to pray for her to disappear after taking revenge. She knows very well that we are the people who want to kill her. She won't be willing to disappear after taking revenge. No one would give up easily after gaining power. Xia Mengtao had come back to life. After taking revenge, she found that there was a new crisis, which was that someone wanted to destroy her. She would regain her fighting spirit. Tian Suiyu let go of Ning Shu's arm and looked at her. Why can you exist in the form of a soul? Although this was personal privacy, Tian Suiyu was really curious. Ning Shu said, because I'm dead. How could a dead person have so many restrictions? Tian Suiyu was speechless. The 6 of them did not return to the ancestral hall. The people in the ancestral hall thought that the 6 of them had been killed by Xia Mengtao. But in fact, the 6 of them were guarding Xia Mengtao and letting her control the resentment. Countless experiments had ended in failure. It was really impossible to control the resentment. It was as if resentment was born in one's heart. The resentment was rooted in one's heart and would not dissipate easily. Ning Shu sat on the heatable brick bed, talking to Tian Suiyu and another mission enforcer. He said, don't rush, take your time. The direction is right. Just concentrate your resentment in your dantian. You can only rely on yourself for this kind of thing. No one else can help you. Come on Simaida, King Bom Iwan. Ning Shu smiled proudly. Since he had nothing to do, he could play some cards or expand his sea of consciousness. He could always find something to do. There was no hurry. After all, there was plenty of time. Furthermore, controlling resentment wasn't something that could be accomplished in a day or two. For half a month, the malicious ghost did not appear again. This made the people in the ancestral hall tremble with fear, but they also had some hope. Had Xia Mengtao let them go? In the beginning, no one dared to leave the ancestral hall. But as time passed, these people tried to escape the mountain village. However, just as they were about to escape, their expressions froze. Xia Mengtao was waiting for them on the hillside. Xia Mengtao now looked beautiful and gentle, but those who saw her were so frightened that they knelt down and trembled. They kowtowed and admitted their mistakes, begging Xia Mengtao to let them go. You've killed so many people and become so strong. Can you let us go? Xia Mengtao directly cut the person who spoke in half. Blood splattered, and the organs fell to the ground with a crash, steaming hot. The others were so frightened that they couldn't say a word. Their faces were ashen. Go back, Xia Mengtao said coldly. These people rolled and crawled back to the ancestral hall, temporarily saving their lives. After dealing with these people, Xia Mengtao continued to control the resentment in her body. It felt great to have power. She knew what the person who spoke meant. So what if she killed so many people? What did it have to do with letting them go? He tried to use words to suppress her. Sorry, she couldn't accept it. Ning Shu didn't need to eat. Every day was very boring, so he kept cultivating his consciousness. His sea of consciousness was much bigger than before, but it was still not enough. While his mental power hadn't taken shape yet, he tried to expand his sea of consciousness as much as possible. The mental power formed would be stronger. When the other 5 people were hungry, they would forage for food in the empty mountain village. This place was very poor, and they only ate some coarse grains like sweet potatoes and beans. It wasn't easy to even find flour. Poor mountains and turbulent rivers produced unruly people. Ning Shu said, "Actually, I have fasting pills. Why didn't you ask me for them when you were hungry? Wasn't it too insincere to only say this after you were full?" Xia Mingtao's control of the resentment was progressing slowly. At least she wouldn't lose rotten flesh so easily. Once she became irritable, Xia Mingtao's body would rot, and she would return to her appearance before death. Death was the most painful time, and it was also the time when the resentment was the strongest. Being less affected by the resentment could be considered an improvement. The group of mission enforcers thought to themselves. They didn't know when this mission would be completed. Ning Shu said, "Don't worry. We have a lot of time anyway. If this mission isn't completed, everyone will be punished. It doesn't matter if we wait a bit." Tian Suiyu said, "I'm just afraid that every second Xia Mengtao stays in this world will cause more damage to the plane. By then, the mission will still be considered a failure." Ning Shu said, "Oh, I see. But she's already controlling her resentment. She won't harm the plane." The people who are still alive in the ancestral hall have resentment and fear. Ning Shu glanced at Tian Suiyu and said, "If you want Xia Mengtao to kill those people, just say it. Why are you urging me to be the bad guy? Otherwise, I'll be a cold-blooded killer." Tian Suiyu spread her hands and said, "That little girl listens to you. We're wearing the skin of our enemies. Do you think she'll listen to us? Those people are living a life worse than death. They might as well be dead," Tian Suiyu said coldly. "They're also harming the plane if they live." Trembling in extreme fear and despair would affect the plane. Although the impact might be minimal, more than 100 people tortured to death like this would have a big impact. Ning Shu said, "Tell that to the little girl. She has higher goals now. She's not unreasonable, although she'll scratch your face." Tian Suiyu said helplessly, "What's your contact number? Let's add each other as friends." Ning Shu, 2333. Tian Suiyu. "Your ID?" Ning Shu nodded. 2333. Tian Suiyu noted it down, but this number was really? Tian Suiyu muttered something to Xia Mengtao, and Xia Mengtao went to the ancestral hall and killed everyone. Mobile users browse him. Read for a better reading experience. More complete novels follow the official WeChat account XBQJXS new Pen Fun Pavilion homepage. Many exciting novels are waiting for you. Chapter 3141. Xia Mengtao killed the remaining 20 or so people in the ancestral hall. Because she no longer ate humans, she dug a hole and buried the corpses. This place was completely devoid of human habitation. Other than the 2 ghosts, Ning Shu and Xia Mengtao, there were 5 other people. There was not even a dog or a chicken in this mountain village. There probably wasn't even a rat. Anyway, the surroundings were quiet and there were no signs of living creatures. This village had probably been uninhabited for a long time. It might be a long time before someone discovered it. After all, it was remote and surrounded by mountains. No one in the village went out. When the mission was completed, the possessed person would leave and the possessed body would die. The people in this mountain village would be considered wiped out. Then, Xia Mengtao would return as if nothing had happened after killing people. She would then control her resentment. Probably knowing that this was her only way out, Xia Mengtao worked extra hard. She didn't need anyone to urge her. She spent all day controlling her resentment. Progress was a little slow. Ning Shu asked Tian Suiyu, "What did you say to Xia Mengtao?" Xia Mengtao actually didn't scratch his face. Tian Suiyu's mean face was full of compassion. "I asked Xia Mengtao to do a good deed. After getting rid of those people, Xia Mengtao will be able to restrain her hostility and resentment in peace. She might be able to control her resentment well. Ning Shu glanced at her and finally sneered. I told you she won't dissipate even if everyone in the village is killed. How could she dissipate? Tian Sueyu said indifferently. How do you know if you don't try? Maybe she will dissipate. Tian Sueyu asked Xia Mengtao to kill those people because she wanted to resolve the hatred in Xia Mengtao's heart. Perhaps she would dissipate because she had achieved her goal and lost the motivation to survive. However, the result was obviously not the case. With these people around to eliminate Xia Mengtao, it was impossible for Xia Mengtao to dissipate. Xia Mengtao saw Ning Shu playing cards on the Kong and asked softly, Sister, am I taking up too much of your time? Ning Shu stared at the cards in his hand and said calmly, There's no hurry. We don't have much, but we have a lot of time. She had a lot of time, but the mission enforcers had a lot of time. Oh, Xia Mengtao replied before asking in a low voice, If I really control the resentment, will I not die and not be killed by you? The 6 of them turned to look at Xia Mengtao. Ning Shu said, Yes, if you can control your resentment, I can find you a good place to go. As for whether you can beat us, I don't know. After all, we are the weakest people here. Tian Sueyu stared at Xia Mengtao's back and frowned. She said to Ning Shu, Even if Xia Mengtao controls her resentment, I'm afraid she doesn't want to go with us. That was why he was inquiring about these things. Ning Shu took out a pair of cards and said, There's a way to deal with it. Anyway, she's already in our hands. How could we let her run away? Tian Sueyu looked up at Ning Shu. When she can control her resentment and restrain it, she will be an ordinary person. As long as her resentment doesn't erupt, she will be an ordinary person in a crowd. No one will be able to find her. She couldn't stay in this world. Who knew when she would erupt? Their mission might not be completed. Ning Shu said calmly, When she really slips away and leaves this place, she won't be able to suppress us that much. Other places won't be of much help to her. Ning Shu glanced at the crack in the door. There was a black eye looking into the room. No matter how she runs, she won't be able to leave this world. It's easy to find her. It would be difficult to find someone like Xing Qing, who jumped from world to world. The eye in the crack in the door disappeared. Ning Shu put down his cards. I'm tired. I don't want to play anymore. The others also put down their cards. Some rested, while others cleaned their props. Then, these mission enforcers began to cultivate. Xia Mengtao had started to absorb the resentment. In the sky above the mountain village, the resentment and ghostly aura were gradually dissipating. The distorted magnetic field was slowly recovering. This way, the restrictions on the mission enforcers were much smaller. None of the mission enforcers felt that it was over when Xia Mengtao controlled the resentment. And at that time, the battle might have just begun. They looked relaxed on the outside but were tense on the inside. They appeared to be very calm and played fight the landlord. In fact, they were seizing the time to cultivate. Since they were sent by the main system to do the mission, they were all people with rich experience and ability. It would be difficult for Xia Mengtao to play mind games. But now, they needed to have the ability to crush Xia Mengtao. Ning Shu couldn't cultivate because he didn't have a body. He lay on the bed and opened up his mindscape. His mindscape had been cultivated very well. It was much more open than his original mindscape. If his sea of consciousness had been a small pond in the past, his sea of consciousness had now become a large strait with rapid currents. However, Ning Shu was not satisfied. If he wanted to expand his mindscape, he would need the power of space. This could be considered as deepening his understanding of the law of space. Everything was difficult at the beginning. It was very difficult for Xia Mengtao to absorb the resentment. Not all malicious ghosts could freely control the resentment. If a malicious ghost could control the resentment, it would not have become a malicious ghost. It was because there was resentment in its heart that it became a malicious ghost. It was not easy to control the resentment. It was not easy to not be controlled by the resentment. Xia Mengtao could gather the resentment in her dantian, but it would disperse very quickly. It could not be stored in the dantian forever. Tian Sueyu said, Then work hard to let the resentment stay in the dantian for a longer time. Work hard to not let the resentment dissipate in the dantian. Everyone's expressions were a little strange. This was probably the strangest mission in history. They had to guide the opponent's cultivation and wait for the opponent to succeed before doing it. Xia Mengtao was a shy person. In addition, Tian Zuiyu had a hateful face, so she was very repulsed by her. She would talk to Ning Shu when she had nothing to do. Even though she knew that she was not a person who hated hatred, when she saw these faces, she thought of what they had done to her when she was alive. She also thought of what the mean faces had said to her and what they had done to her. She was worried that she would not be able to control the resentment when she faced these people's faces. If she had any questions, she would ask Ning Shu because Ning Shu did not wear the skin of a villager. Ning Shu told Xia Mengtao that in essence, it was similar to cultivation. She had to gather the resentment and use it as the source of her power. It was just like absorbing spiritual energy. However, it was obvious that the resentment was not a good thing. It would affect one's mind and was a very negative thing. Putting aside the power of the cultivation, it was very tiring to have a mental confrontation with the resentment all the time. Cultivating other things was twice the result with half the effort, but absorbing the resentment was half the result with twice the effort. Chapter 3142. Of course, he would choose the cultivation method that would yield twice the result with half the effort. Xia Mengtao only had this path, so he could only do this. It would be good if he succeeded. If he failed and Xia Mengtao went berserk, he could only destroy her violently. If he couldn't fight in the plane, he could drag her into the void. It wouldn't affect the plane. In short, there were still many ways to deal with Xia Mengtao. When it came to cultivation, it might be fast, but if it was slow, it might take a few years for one to get through the door. The mission enforcers were already mentally prepared to stay in this world for several years. Now, they couldn't back down. If they gave up the mission, they would fail the mission and be punished. The gains wouldn't make up for the losses. Anyway, there was plenty of time. The main system didn't set a time limit for completing the mission. They just had to complete it as soon as possible. They would rather spend time here than go back in a hurry. Even if they went back, they would do other missions. It was the same. If Xia Mengtao didn't make any progress, their side would become stronger and stronger. Xia Mengtao probably felt the pressure. They were actually enemies. Although they were under the same roof, they only needed an opportunity to fight. Ning Shu ran out of the mountain village to test if he could use the power of laws. It turned out that he couldn't. Even without the distorted magnetic field, this world was just an ordinary world. It wouldn't give people the ability to fly or even walk on walls. It was beyond the scope of the world's power. Fortunately, he could use his mental power. Now, his mental power could radiate far away. Even if Xia Mengtao really escaped, he could use his mental power to pull her out of the crowd. The strength of the other 5 people was also increasing. Even if they fought, she could hide behind the 5 of them to avoid losing her soul. Unless it was a last resort, he wouldn't use his soul power and would use his mental power to attack. Or he would use his mental power to attack. It wasn't easy to get some soul power from his uncle. He couldn't waste it here. Ning Shu set up a magic array around the entire mountain village to prevent Xia Mengtao from escaping. It wasn't that he couldn't find her, but that it would take a lot of effort. It was better to defend from the beginning. Xia Mengtao wouldn't be satisfied if she didn't fight and surrender in terms of strength. Therefore, this battle was indispensable. Xia Mengtao saw Ning Shu return from outside the mountain village and asked, "Sister, where did you go?" Ning Shu said, "We're going sightseeing." Xia Mengtao couldn't understand the word, sightseeing. It was a barren place, and they couldn't even fill their stomachs. She asked, "What's there to see here?" Ning Shu said, "I'm just looking at the scenery. Things are different in every world. There are desolate places for the poor, and grand places for the rich. How's the resentment under your control?" Xia Mengtao shook her head, indicating that the progress was slow. Ning Shu only told her to do her best. He didn't say anything else and started his daily activities to expand his sea of consciousness. During this period of time, he would try to expand his sea of consciousness as much as possible. The bigger the sea of consciousness, the higher the potential. The sky above the village was no longer covered with black fog. The sunlight shone on the empty village, dispelling the cold. It was just that this place was very quiet, and there was no sign of life at all. Ning Shu walked into the house. Tansuyu was cooking. He didn't know where she got the wild boar. Furthermore, it was a small piglet. After cleaning it up, he picked some herbs and stewed them in the pot. The smell was quite fragrant. Ning Shu took a breath. Not bad. Tansuyu said, "It's a pity that you can't eat it." Ning Shu wasn't greedy. If he really was, he could go to the restaurant and order a roast suckling pig after the mission. It was a pity that his account was frozen. Although Tansuyu's body looked sharp and unkind, perhaps it was because her core had changed. As time passed, her external temperament had changed. She didn't look so mean and ugly anymore. After spending some time together, Ning Shu felt that Tansuyu was a more particular person. She liked to cook delicious food and seemed to enjoy it very much. Others ate a big meal, but Ning Shu and Xia Mengtao couldn't eat such things because they were in soul form. Xia Mengtao didn't care at all. She seized the time to restrain her resentment. Now, Xia Mengtao could control the resentment to enter her dantian for a long time. Ning Shu asked her to compress the resentment and turn it into a solid or liquid state. However, every time she compressed the resentment would rebound. The more she compressed it, the stronger the rebound. Xia Mengtao was being tormented. The rebound force would make her feel uncomfortable. Her soul had become much weaker. Xia Mengtao was now in a difficult situation. If she kept tormenting this thing, if her soul dissipated, these people wouldn't have to do anything. However, if she didn't control this resentment, these people wouldn't let her go. She felt that after crossing this stage, there might be a path to heaven in front of her. However, all kinds of accidents would happen along the way. Xia Mengtao was on guard against these people, but she had to rely on them. These people seemed to have a lot of experience and were very skilled. Xia Mengtao could only bite the bullet and continue. If she really died, she would have taken revenge. She came back to life for revenge. With so many people dying with her, she would have profited. After repeated torment, Xia Mengtao's soul became weaker and weaker. The mission enforcers saw this. No matter what, the current situation was leaning towards their side. After spending nearly half a year, when Xia Mengtao's soul was about to collapse, a peanut-sized inner core was compressed in Xia Mengtao's dantian. This inner core rotated in her dantian, absorbing waves of resentment. At the last moment, the inner core became the size of an egg. It was pitch black, like a black stone. Tansuyu shook her head. She thought she would die, but she didn't expect to succeed at the last moment. She had this luck and opportunity. It seemed that this battle had to be fought. Xia Mengtao looked at these people, turned around, and ran. The mission enforcers were even faster. They directly surrounded her. Ning Shu stretched out his hand. "Since you succeeded, come with me. It's time for you to fulfill your promise." Xia Mengtao bit her lip and said to Ning Shu, "I'm very grateful to you, but I can't go with you." Ning Shu nodded and retreated from the encirclement. He said to the 5 people, "You guys go. I'm a soul, so I can't fight." That's why I said that this fight was inevitable. The 5 people surrounded Xia Mengtao in the middle and began to attack without hesitation. They used all kinds of methods. Xia Mengtao used resentment to attack, but because she had just formed an inner core, she was still very unfamiliar with it. Moreover, there were things that could restrain resentment and ghost chi. Ning Shu was outside the encirclement. He began to form seals with both hands. The talisman hit Xia Mengtao's body and defeated the resentment. Xia Mengtao screamed in pain. Chapter 3143. What was more, she was besieged by so many people. The inner elixir could provide her with energy, but Xia Mengtao couldn't use the energy skillfully. She was suppressed and in a flurry. Moreover, she felt as if there were needles in her head, which was so painful that her head was about to explode. Xia Mengtao didn't know it was a spiritual attack. She thought she could get away if she successfully controlled the resentment. Without resentment and successfully restrained it, she was just an ordinary soul. She couldn't even be seen by others and could live safely in this world. Xia Mengtao struggled to move. Cracks had appeared on her inner core from the beating. She burst into tears. Ning Shu asked these people to stop for the time being and said, "Now it's time to leave here." "I don't know if I should believe you." Xia Mengtao wiped her tears and blushed. Xia Mengtao was just a little girl in her early 20s. She got married at the age of 17 or 18. Her husband was conscripted as soon as she got married. At that time, the situation in the country was very turbulent. She probably suffered a lot of malice in her limited life. Ning Shu spread his hands and said, "Do you think we're so free that we have to wait for you to refine your inner elixir before killing you? Since we want to kill you, why do we bother? We've waited for so long just to kill you?" Xia Mengtao murmured, "I'll go with you, not with them." Ning Shu pointed his finger and a black hole appeared. He said to her, "Go in. I'll find you later." Xia Mengtao looked at the black hole in horror and stammered, Where is it?" Ning Shu said, "There's another world inside. It's probably a more suitable world for you." Xia Mengtao could absorb all kinds of resentment floating in the world of samsara to strengthen her ability and reduce the erosion of the resentment in the world of samsara. It was killing two birds with one stone. "Go in." Xia Mengtao walked towards the black hole with small steps. Ning Shu said, "I'm scared. You have to come. I'll go in a while." Xia Mengtao entered the black hole without fear of death. The black hole slowly disappeared. Ning Shu said to the 5 people, "The task is completed. You can hand it in." Tian Sueyu said, "Should we blame it on the world of samsara?" In essence, it was moving the bomb to another place, and then the bomb would still explode. He just didn't know when it would explode. Ning Shu said, "Don't worry, I'll take care of the rest. After all, there's no more source of disaster in this world. I've already completed my mission." Ning Shu asked the system to submit the mission and apply for the completion of the mission. The others looked at each other. Tian Tsueyu said, "If anything happens in the future, it's your responsibility." Ning Shu nodded. "I understand." "Ning Shu, let's exchange contact information," another mission enforcer said to Ning Shu. Ning Shu exchanged contact information with the 5 of them. Tian Tsueyu pulled Ning Shu to the side and asked, "Did you bring Xia Mengtao to your world?" Ning Shu nodded. "Staying here can be considered a help." "It was easy to deal with Xia Mengtao." Tian Tsueyu asked. "Your world is the world of samsara?" Ning Shu lowered his head shyly and said, "I'm sorry, it's just a small world." Tian Tsueyu was speechless. Everyone submitted the application. When the organization approved it, it was time to leave this world. Tian Tsueyu said jokingly, "Do you want to bury yourself before you leave? Otherwise, you'll be a corpse in the wilderness. It's easy to be infected with the plague." Ning Shu said, "Okay, I'll help you bury the soil." These people really dug a hole. Lying in the hole, Tian Tsueyu said to Ning Shu, "When we leave, we'll have to trouble you to fill the hole." "It's okay, I like to do this." Ning Shu laughed. After the system approved it, the 5 people left. Ning Shu buried the hole and returned to the system space. He checked the reward given by the system. It was not much. He didn't know if he could make up for the loss this time. Ning Shu went to the world of samsara and found Xia Mengtao. Xia Mengtao stood motionless. Her face was full of fear. She looked at this world and didn't dare to move. When she saw Ning Shu, she immediately breathed a sigh of relief and walked towards him. "What is this place?" Xia Mengtao saw the soul floating by her. Ning Shu said, "This is the place where people come after they die. This is the world of samsara. You'll live here in the future. Absorb the resentment of this world and slowly strengthen yourself. This is hell. It's different from what I imagined." Xia Mengtao looked around. Ning Shu took Xia Mengtao to the skeletons. Seeing so many skeletons, Xia Mengtao immediately hid behind Ning Shu. Although she was a ghost, she was still scared when she saw human skeletons. Ning Shu pulled Xia Mengtao out of hiding. Xia Mengtao immediately covered her face with her hands. Ning Shu said to Zhu Jun, "This is a new girl. Take care of her. She's not familiar with this world. Take her to familiarize herself with it when you have time. These are all familiar people. Although they are skeletons, they have delicate features. You'll have to deal with them often in the future. Just treat them as humans," Ning Shu said to Xia Mengtao. Xia Mengtao put down her hands and looked at the dense skeletons. Although they were golden, they were still skeletons. Ning Shu said, "You didn't seem to be afraid when you were eating bones?" Xia Mengtao said, "Those were the bones of my enemies. I was only happy. Why would I be afraid?" Ning Shu asked Zhu Jun or other skeletons to take Xia Mengtao to familiarize herself with the environment. Zhu Jun said, "Let me do it. I'll take you to see the world." When Zhu Jun spoke, his lower jaw opened and closed, making people feel very frightened. Xia Mengtao's face was a little pale. Ning Shu said, "They're all my people. You won't do anything to them. Even if they do something to you, you have the power to do it yourself." Xia Mengtao said to Zhu Jun, "Then I'll have to trouble you." Zhu Jun chuckled. "It's no trouble at all." His laugh made Xia Mengtao's face even paler. Zhu Jun said, "Relax, I'm not a good person." Ning Shu. Xia Mengtao hid behind Ning Shu and looked timidly at Zhu Jun, who was not a good person. Ning Shu settled Xia Mengtao down and returned to the system space. After absorbing the soul power, Ning Shu was slightly stronger. Since the mission was completed, he would do other missions to fill up his soul. Since Uncle Zhang didn't want to trade, he would do missions. There was a friend request from the mission taker who had gone to do the mission. Ning Shu agreed. After adding him, they chatted for a while and ended the topic. After all, it was just someone he had met on a mission. They weren't very close. Chapter 3144. Ning Shu was about to close the chat system when Tai Shu sent her a message, saying that he had something to tell her. Ning Shu blocked him and clicked on the system exchange store to exchange for some fasting pills and medicine. She said to the system, "I'm going to do a mission." Since her account was frozen and she couldn't use the money, she would do a mission to strengthen her soul. The only reason he was looking for her was to ask her to volunteer again. She didn't want to do it now. After Ning Shu blocked Tai Shu, he sent another message. Ning Shu was really annoyed. She had to do the work in the office and also clean the toilet. Ning Shu directly replied, "I'm not free. I have to do a mission." She didn't do missions for the organization, but for herself. "I love doing missions." She now needed soul power to strengthen her soul power. If she did volunteer work, her merit account would be frozen. She couldn't use it. "Tai Shu, you don't have to do it for now. I have something to discuss with you." Ning Shu, "Let's talk about it after I finish the mission." There were many talents in the organization. It was probably some work that others didn't want to do, so they gave it to her. If she refused, she would be ungrateful. Others had the right to refuse, but she didn't have the right to refuse. "Tai Shu, please, please." Ning Shu simply wanted to sneer. It was fine if he invited her, but it made her seem like she was being unreasonable. From today onwards, she would be a thorn. No matter what happened, she would die. She was fearless. If they came to kill her, then so be it. If they killed her, then so be it. Ning Shu took a deep breath. "I said we'll talk about it after I finish the mission." Tai Shu said directly, "Go to Area B to deal with the star stones." Ning Shu lightly picked at her nails and blew. Isn't there someone in Area B? Why did he ask her to deal with the star stones in another area? Tai Shu, the person in charge of Area B went out and hasn't returned yet. Ning Shu raised her eyelids. What does it have to do with me? Since he went out, then go find him. Find the person in charge. Ning Shu thought of the woman in purple. She had a temper and really left her stall to go out. Senior Grand Uncle, now you're in danger. You've been ordered to deal with things in Area B. Wait for the person in charge to come back. Ning Shu's expression did not change at all. He was neither angry nor excited. He asked, when will the person in charge come back? Who will take over my shift? Someone has to take over my shift. Let me rest for a while. The Grand Elder was silent and didn't reply for a long time. Ning Shu knew that this would be the case. If there was a vacancy, he would get someone to fill it in. He would not even arrange for a successor. As long as the vacancy was filled, he would let the person continue to do it. She didn't know anyone in District B. Who would she find to switch shifts? No one could stop once they started. If they could throw a tantrum and go on strike, she could also reject them. At most, they could just come and kill her. Relying on the fact that she couldn't be killed, she was relying on the fact that she couldn't be killed. If she left the organization now, she would probably be an immortal wandering soul. To put it coldly, even if the organization was destroyed, she would still be alive. Even if the Sea of Laws was destroyed, she would still be alive, and she would not be able to save the Sea of Laws. It was like watching a person grow old and die. The Grand Elder replied, "I'll arrange for a successor for you." Ning Shu, who is it? Give me the contact information of the successor. It wasn't that she didn't want to do it, but if she let someone fill it in, what would happen in the future? If no one took over, she would have to keep doing it. It wasn't easy for her soul to leave the state of floating. She didn't want to become floating again in the end. Ning Shu, go to hell, you dog of a man who makes me sweat. The Grand Elder. I'll let the main system arrange for a successor for you. Okay, hurry up and come over. Ning Shu, you guys make the arrangements first, and I'll go. District B is so big. I'm scared. I'm worried that I won't do well. Give me the contact information of the person who will take over. Who knew when the person in charge of District B would come back? She was obviously throwing a tantrum because of the lack of resources. She was doing the job of the person in charge, but she didn't have the resources. The Grand Elder, I'll send you the list of people in District B, including the successor. Ning Shu, let me take a look at the list first. I'll familiarize myself with it first. Everything should be done slowly. Only by doing things in an orderly manner would there be no problems. She would screw herself and others. She didn't want to take advantage of others, but she wouldn't let herself suffer. Ning Shu didn't feel that the organization was flattering her. It was just that these big shots weren't willing to deal with star stones. They would rather not earn this money. Even if it was her turn, it didn't mean that they would happily do it. At most, they would just come and kill her. She was just relying on the fact that she couldn't be killed. It seemed that the organization would rather let the woman in purple go out and have fun than make up for the lack of resources. The main system sent a list of names. There was a list of generals in District B, as well as the big shots who picked up fragments. Ning Shu quickly browsed through it, but she didn't see what she wanted to see, which was the list of people who would take over the shift. Giving a list of names to dazzle people's eyes? She only cared about who would take over the shift. The other big shots who picked up fragments would be arranged by the main system. As for the generals, everyone had their own duties. It didn't conflict with her work. Only the people who took over the shift had something to do with her. How boring. If there was someone, there was someone. If there was no one, there was no one. If she went to District B, would she still be able to command those big shots or ask them to take over the shift? They wouldn't even roll their eyes at her. Who the hell wanted to deal with star stones? Ning Shu said to the backup system, go and do the mission. The backup system had already chosen the mission for Ning Shu and asked, do you want to enter the mission now? Ning Shu nodded. Enter the mission. The chat system dinged, and Ning Shu glanced at it. Senior uncle, I'm your shift changer. Ning Shu, if I want to change shifts, can I just call you? Will you come and change shifts for me when I call you? Will you change shifts whenever I call you, regardless of time or space? Senior uncle. I think you're Pikachu's younger brother. You're itching for a beating. Oh, he even knew about Pikachu. This was very social. Ning Shu, do you know about Peppa Pig? Ning Shu, what about Big Bear, Bear 2 and Baldy Chong? Ning Shu, since I'm working in District B, do I have the resources of the person in charge? Senior uncle, you're just going to deal with the star stones. Ning Shu curled his lips. See, I can get 100,000 merit points every time I deal with them, and I don't even need to use them. Taking orders in the face of danger? Ning Shu rolled his eyes. Ning Shu said, Unfreeze my account. How long are you going to freeze it for? I'm very upset, very upset. If I quit, they could just come and kill me. Ning Shu held back. He didn't want to give the senior uncle and the organization a good lesson. Senior uncle, it will be unfrozen. Go and deal with it now. Come here first. Senior uncle gave him the location of the space node. The backup system, are you still doing the mission? Chapter 3145. Of course, I'm going to do the mission. After talking for so long, the account was still grayed out. It hadn't been unfrozen. It was so difficult to unfreeze it. There was no desire to make money at all. Even if he made money, he couldn't use it. He said it would be unfrozen, but it still hadn't been unfrozen. It was boring. He was too embarrassed to look at the skeletons now because he had no money in his pocket. More than 2,400 pairs of dark eye sockets were staring at him, crying piteously for food. Alas, his conscience really hurt. Senior uncle, do you see the space node? Ning Shu, Erkung, why don't you light the light? I can't see anything. I don't want to hear it. I can't see. Ning Shu, friendly reminder, I'm not Pikachu's brother. I'm Pikachu's sister. My skin is itchy. My nickname is Defrost, Defrost, Defrost. Didn't he say it would be unfrozen? It still hadn't been unfrozen. And if senior uncle was really the one who changed shifts, it would probably be a very sad thing. She often saw he and Uncle Chong dealing with star stones while crying in the wind while waiting for senior uncle to come back. This was probably her fate. She ran out for no reason. Who knew when he would come back? Even if he contacted her, she still didn't know when he would come back. She ran out for a while and didn't know how long and where she would go. Anyone who changed shifts would be more reliable than senior uncle. She didn't want to wait for senior uncle to change shifts with tears in her eyes. Ding, your account has been unfrozen. Please follow the civilized discipline. The account was unfrozen. Ning Shu's heart also rang. One of his goals had been achieved. He took the lead in exchanging more than 10 million merit points, and all these merit points were converted into merit grains. In this way, even if the account was frozen again in the future, there would be merit grains to feed the skeletons. More than 10 million merit grains were a lot. There were more than 9,000 merit grains. Thinking about it, he might as well exchange all the 17 million merit grains in his account. Anyway, with these merit grains as rations, he could buy whatever he needed to slowly earn some money. Senior uncle, are you blind? Ning Shu, Erkung, it's still a bit blurry. Ning Shu, am I the person in charge of Area B? Other than the payment of star stones, what about the other resources? Grand uncle, you're not in charge. You're just in charge of handling the star stones. Who told you you're in charge? Ning Shu rolled his eyes. He was doing the work of the person in charge, but he didn't get paid. Senior uncle, when she comes back, you don't have to do it anymore. Ning Shu replied, Erkung, my eyes hurt. I'm afraid I'll be blind forever. Senior grand uncle, that's enough. You still have 100 punishments left. Let's settle your punishment now. Ning Shu, fuck, you're depending on her, the backup system asked. Are you still doing missions? Ning Shu, do what? In the end, it was because of this punishment of 100 times that she had to serve her sentence. Ning Shu finally managed to unfreeze his account. He then sent some merit grains to the skeleton and went to the 3 cities to reinforce the barriers. It would take a lot of time to do 100 times. If one of the barriers exploded, she would be in trouble again. After slowly settling everything, Ning Shu took the token and jumped to the location of the space node. Senior Grand Uncle stood in the void. Ning Shu walked over and said, why don't we go and see Jingqing first? I miss him very much. I don't know if you've sent him flowers. Senior Grand Uncle looked at Ning Shu condescendingly. Do you feel uncomfortable if you don't jump up and down for a day? Ning Shu immediately covered his heart. Yes, very uncomfortable, very uncomfortable. I'll do whatever I want. I know you won't let anyone see Jingqing, but I love to talk. If you have the ability, come and shut my mouth. If you don't, come and kill me. I'll rely on my immortality. Senior Granduncle, I'll let you visit once for free 1,000 times. Ning Shu stretched out a finger. Senior Granduncle, 10,000 times. Ning Shu, 10 times. Jingqing isn't worth such an expensive ticket. I'm afraid I'll be the only one going to see him. It'll be a small profit. Senior Granduncle didn't want to talk to Ning Shu, so he took a step forward. Ning Shu hurried to keep up. It was a bit strenuous. In the end, he still couldn't understand the space law. However, Ning Shu also got a message. Senior Granduncle didn't kill Jingqing. Instead, he let Jingqing soak in the law of nothingness alive. Once again, he confirmed that Jingqing was still alive. She didn't know when Jingqing would absorb another wave of her soul power. Jingqing wouldn't be so obedient in the law of nothingness. This matter had to be pretended. Senior Granduncle couldn't bear to kill Jingqing. There would be many unforeseen events if he was alive. Who knew when Jingqing would run out of the law of nothingness? A new round of torment began. Ning Shu looked at Senior Granduncle in front of him. He didn't know what the sea of law was like now. The plane kept collapsing and even exploding without warning. This meant that the law wasn't in a good situation. This situation could last for hundreds of thousands of years, a few hundreds of thousands of years, or many hundreds of thousands of years. Ning Shu felt that it was dangerous. The sea of law was an old man walking toward death. Death was the inevitable outcome. Senior Granduncle stopped and turned to Ning Shu. He said, "From now on, deal with the star stones here." In fact, there was no difference between Area A and Area B. The operation was the same, but there were too many planes. It was more convenient to manage them in small areas. However, these were all unfamiliar faces. He didn't know any of the big shots in this area. Ning Shu hung the sign around his neck and earned some money to buy the Void World Scroll. He could go to the world to find treasures and strengthen his soul. Senior Granduncle said to the man who was dealing with the star stones, "The person who changed shifts is here." The big shot heaved a sigh of relief. He quickly stood up and said, "Okay, I'll leave it to you." Ning Shu stood in front of the big shot. "You're the person who changed shifts with me, right?" He didn't want to change shifts with Senior Granduncle. Even if he said he wanted to change shifts, this damn man might not appear. The big shot was attracted by the sign hanging around Ning Shu's neck. When he heard Ning Shu's words, he quickly shook his head. "No, I don't deal with the star stones. I'm temporarily helping to deal with them. After that, it's none of my business." He quickly denied it and shook his head, causing the skin on his face to tremble. Sure enough, dealing with the star stones was a job that everyone hated. He then left. It seemed that he was tired. Ning Shu asked Senior Granduncle, "If I want to change shifts with you, will you come?" "Senior Granduncle, I will come if there are no special circumstances." Ning Shu snorted. There were too many special circumstances. After serving 100 sentences, he wouldn't do it anymore. Doing missions, no matter what kind of work it was for the sake of the organization. He loved doing missions. It was everyone's responsibility to protect the plane. "Then let's start." Senior Granduncle was about to leave. Ning Shu stretched out his hand. "Wait." Ning Shu felt Senior Granduncle take a deep breath before turning around. His expression was a little cold. "What's wrong now?" More complete novels follow the official WeChat account XBQX's new Pen Fun Pavilion. Go to the homepage. Many wonderful novels are waiting for you. Chapter 3146. Ning Shu shivered. "Why are you so fierce?" "I was so scared that I forgot what I was going to say." "Granduncle." "Why are you so naughty?" "Ning Shu, I'm very happy to be naughty. Come and kill me if you can. You're uncomfortable, right?" Granduncle's expression was calm. "What's the matter?" Ning Shu said, "What if the plane suddenly blows up thousands of planes without any warning like last time?" "Granduncle, there are masters in the army. Even if they blow up thousands of planes, they can control the situation before blowing up tens of thousands more." Ning Shu nodded. "Oh, I see. You can go now. Come back early to take over the shift." With a flash, the Grand Elder disappeared. Ning Shu squatted down, picked up the props and began to scrape the star stone. She didn't expect Grand Uncle to take over soon. She was ready for a long battle. She might not be able to take over after serving 100 sentences. He used the vines to move the fragments, and then smoothly scraped the star rock, scraping it clean. Ning Shu's vine tentacles made the processing of the star stone much faster. The big boss of District B looked at Ning Shu. Because he wasn't familiar with her, he didn't talk to Ning Shu. Soon, Ning Shu finished processing the star stone and began to pick up the fragments with the vines. Her spiritual power was strong, and she could control more vines. The vines stretched out in all directions. She put the fragments she picked up in her pocket. Ning Shu tied the pocket and put the token on it. Don't miss this. Help me pick up the fragments, 100,000 each time. Ning Shu shouted a few times, but she was ignored. She wasn't depressed. This was the result of developing in a new place. If she was in District A, these fragments would have been traded out by now. Well, no one was trading. Ning Shu put these things on her own account. It was also 100,000 merit points. After picking up the fragments, Ning Shu began to melt the star stone and connect to the planes. While connecting the planes, she picked up some scraps. She was already used to it. She would feel uncomfortable if she didn't pick them up. Seeing the scraps go to waste, his heart ached. Although he had obtained quite a number of stellar stones from blowing up so many planes, he had no choice but to accept them. However, with the law of nothingness, which could spread out at any moment, Ning Shu felt that no matter how many star stones he had, he would not feel safe. Once the star stone solidified, he could let it go. Ning Shu felt that he was already very familiar with handling star stones. Perhaps he would be able to do it 100 times in no time. They went to the next place. There were too many planes, and there were planes collapsing every second. They were the corpse pickers, and they dealt with the dead planes. Ning Shu had been keeping track of the number of times he had used the system. Once he had used it 100 times, he would be able to apply for his sentence to be released from the system. In the future, he would not be able to use the incident of 100 times as an excuse. After dealing with the star rock, Ning Shu began to pick up the fragments. He still hung the token around his neck. I don't believe that you won't be curious and come over to ask. After Ning Shu had processed the star stones more than 10 times, someone finally came to ask about Ning Shu's business. Finally, there was business. Ning Shu was very excited and explained the business method to the person. It was like a surrogate game. You were responsible for increasing your number. You could do whatever you wanted. You've completed your volunteer work. The big shot who asked was very generous. He directly gave 100,000 merit points and left after handing it over. Someone was the first to eat crabs. Gradually, Ning Shu had business. Although he did not get a single cent from processing the star stones 100 times, he could at least earn some money. Ning Shu was multitasking. After dealing with the star stones, he would pick up the fragments. Some of the big shots would pick up a portion of the fragments themselves. They were too lazy to pick up the rest and would buy fragments from Ning Shu. Some of them did not want to do it. After all, they were using the money given by the system to make others work. Was there anything better than this? Someone asked which area Ning Shu was from. He was so familiar with handling the star stones. He could not be someone who had just advanced. Ning Shu said, I'm from Area A. People from Area A. Some of the big shots looked at Ning Shu with complicated expressions. Ning Shu was speechless. What's wrong with Area A? Was there a gap between Area A and Area B? Was there a grudge? Then did she go deep into the wolf's den? So scary. Boo. Ning Shu did not want to know what conflicts there were between Area A and Area B. He guessed that there were conflicts between the 12 areas when they competed for resources. She was only here to deal with the star stones. When the big sister came back, she would leave. After processing more than 80 times, Ning Shu informed senior uncle to come over and change shifts. If she did it 100 times, senior uncle would not come immediately. Ning Shu informed senior uncle at the 80th time. He felt that he had been doing it for a long time and was a little tired. This was really not something a human could do. After 100 times, there was still no sign of senior uncle. Ning Shu thought, sure enough. He hated himself for having such a sharp intuition. He had left her here to let her work until the world changed. Ning Shu's eyes were full of tears. How can others trust you like this? Ning Shu kept informing him, but he still had to deal with the star stones. Waiting and waiting, Ning Shu became more and more expressionless. After another 100 times, Ning Shu threw the props away. This is a scam. This kind of man should be struck by lightning. 100 times and another 100 times. There must be a deadline. How long do you want her to wait? Even if it's easier for her to deal with the star stones, she's going to be fucking tired to death. The onlookers were speechless. Ning Shu informed senior uncle, the plane exploded. The situation is out of control. It's like fireworks. In modern times, about 50 have exploded. Oh, now they've exploded into popcorn. Senior uncle did not respond. Instead, a man in a military uniform, Ning Shu, came over and said, "Please don't lie about the military situation. This will waste resources." Where did it explode? Ning Shu saw the metal on his chest. It was about the same level as in his. Ning Shu asked, "Who asked you for confirmation?" She was sending a message to senior uncle. If senior uncle received the message, he would definitely verify the authenticity of the message. Naturally, he would ask the people in the army. Therefore, senior uncle received the message but did not reply to her. It was really time to change shifts. Ning Shu looked tired. It was really boring to be like this all the time. The general said, "Of course it's the main system. It captured your message. The collapse of the plane is not a small matter. Naturally, it will verify it." Ning Shu was speechless. She also captured a message that the main system was monitoring everyone's chat information. It probably wanted to extract something useful from it. The most important thing was that senior uncle left her here and ignored her. She estimated that they would have to do it another 100 times? Apart from the 100 times that were free, the extra 100 times would mean 10 million merit points, plus the money for the fragments. Mobile users browse them. Read for a better reading experience. More complete novels follow the WeChat public account XBQJXS new Pen Fun Pavilion homepage. Many wonderful novels are waiting for you. Chapter 3147. Thinking of having so much money, Ning Shu felt less tired. At least he had money to comfort himself, and the account had been unfrozen, so he could use it. When someone came to take over, he would go back to buy a world from the old man and find treasures to strengthen the soul. The wall made of bricks alone was crumbling, but if cement was added between the bricks, the wall would become stronger. Ning Shu was going to find cement now. The general said to Ning Shu, "Although you may only be working here temporarily, please don't lie about the military situation and leave us a mess to deal with." Ning Shu said, "Oh, I'm leaving now. Does that count as leaving you a mess?" She didn't want to lie about the military situation. She just wanted senior uncle to come and change shifts. The main system monitored her information. The general was speechless. It seems that no one is coming to change shifts now. Can you just leave like that? Ning Shu spread his hands. "I've done it more than 200 times and I haven't even taken a break." He had finished his sentence, so he did extra work. Ning Shu asked him, "And he can handle star stones. Do you handle star stones?" They were all generals, so their strength should be about the same. "I need to change shifts now. I'm very tired." The person in charge of your family ran away. She was the one who came to save the situation. The general shook his head and said, "I don't handle it." Ning Shu asked, "And he can handle it, but you don't." "Senior uncle hasn't come yet. I need to change shifts." The general's face turned red. Looking at Ning Shu felt that he might have poked the general's fault. It made the general a little angry. Ning Shu looked at him as if he had suddenly realized something, but he didn't say it in the end. He was afraid that the general was a little reluctant to handle star stones. "So, why did you come to me?" Ning Shu applied to change shifts with the main system. The main system should have recorded how many times she had done it. Ning Shu knew that he would fail. His trust in senior uncle had dropped to the bottom of the earth. Why didn't he know how to develop in the long run and cheat once? Didn't he know how to take the path of sustainable development? He had tricked her and made her sad. The general turned around and left, not wanting to talk to Ning Shu at all. Ning Shu also snorted and lowered his head to deal with the star stones. Ning Shu's processing speed slowed down a lot, and he no longer picked up the fragments. I'm really tired. As long as I can deal with the star stones, I'll be fine. The main system's reply was that someone would take over soon. Ning Shu cried in the wind. Liars, they were all liars. After more than 50 times, the Grand Elder finally arrived at the 250th time. The notification started at the 80th time and only came at the 250th time. Ning Shu's resentment was so thick that it was almost tangible. He looked at the Grand Elder gloomily. The Grand Elder's expression was calm and cold, as if he didn't feel that there was anything wrong with him. Grand Elder, let's change shifts. Ning Shu snorted and threw down the props. He was too lazy to talk to the Grand Elder. Ning Shu returned to the system space and asked the main system to give him the reward for the previous 150 times. He wanted to use this money to buy and take away. Ning Shu had a bit of a dilemma. Should he do the mission or look for cement? Ning Shu applied for the reward, and the main system's answer was, you can only withdraw the reward 30 times at a time, and so on. Oh, the organization would pay him in installments. If he gave 15 or 16 million merit points at once, the organization would probably tremble all over. When they worked, they let people work hard, but when they gave money, they were so stingy. Ning Shu felt that he was a poor migrant worker. Fortunately, after a year of hard work, the boss might run away with the money. He would only give a little each time. Of course, he could only accept 30 times. 30 times would give him 3 million merit points, which was enough to buy a space passage and take away to find treasures. When he applied for the reward 30 times, the main system repeatedly asked, "Are you sure you want to accept? Are you sure you want to accept?" Ning Shu was speechless. What was there to be uncertain about? What was there to be uncertain about? He was very sure. The main system paid more than 3 million merit points, and Ning Shu's empty account had 3 million. After getting the money, Ning Shu went to find the Cheongsam man. The Cheongsam man had asked him to go to the world with him last time, but he was shy of money. He should be able to buy it with 3 million. Ning Shu walked into the restaurant and saw the Cheongsam man holding a female mission enforcer's hand, reading her palm with a serious expression. Ning Shu was speechless. In the past, he was just talking nonsense, but now he was directly doing it. Ning Shu sat over. "Fortune teller, read my palm too." The Cheongsam man said, "Line up behind." Ning Shu couldn't finish reading the palm for a while, so he covered his face and whimpered. The female mission enforcer and the Cheongsam man looked at Ning Shu, and Ning Shu said, "Don't worry about me, sob sob sob." "What are you sobbing about?" the Cheongsam man asked. Ning Shu said, "I'm trying to catch a chick." The female mission enforcer broke free from the Cheongsam man's hand. "You guys chat, I'll leave first." The Cheongsam man smacked his lips and looked at the female mission enforcer's back as she left. Ning Shu asked, "Do you like her?" The Cheongsam man said, "How could I? She's just a little interesting." Ning Shu said, "Then why did you grab her hand?" The Cheongsam man shrugged. "I just said that I wanted to read her palm, but she really believed it. There's actually such an innocent woman in the world." Ning Shu was drinking tea and he spat it out and wiped his mouth. "Are you serious? Those who can enter the law space are all super mission enforcers." The Cheongsam man said, "Anyway, she has a purpose for me. If it's not because of my looks, then it's because she wants something from me. Since she's already here, I have to see what her purpose is." So he was clear-headed. The Cheongsam man took the opportunity to take advantage of her. The Cheongsam man opened his fan and asked, "Why are you looking for me this time?" Ning Shu said, "Don't be so impatient. Didn't we say that we were going to a world last time? I got the money." The Cheongsam man closed his fan and asked, "What are you looking for?" "I'm looking for a fruit that can strengthen the soul." "What about you? What are you looking for?" Ning Shu asked. If their purpose was different, they definitely couldn't go together. The Cheongsam man said, "Then let's go together, but I don't have the money." Ning Shu said like a boss, "I'll let you freeload this time." The Cheongsam man asked, "Do you want to recruit some people? If there's really any danger, the chances of survival are higher." Ning Shu waved his hand. "Forget it, just the two of us. Anyway, she wouldn't die. If there were more people, there wouldn't be much to share. There might even be internal problems. What if there was a fight? He wouldn't be looking for competitors." The two of them came to Elder Chi's stall. Elder Chi was dozing off, and the Cheongsam man woke him up. Elder Chi asked, "What world are you going to this time?" Ning Shu said, "I'm looking for something that can strengthen the soul." More complete novels follow the official WeChat account XBQJXS new Pen Fun Pavilion homepage. Many wonderful novels are waiting for you. S. Chapter 3148. The old man rummaged through his stall and finally found a scroll at the bottom of his treasure chest. "This is it. This world has the body-strengthening fruit." Ning Shu said, "This name is too embarrassing." "Body-strengthening fruit?" Elder Chi said, "What's there to be embarrassed about?" The man in the Cheongsam said, "Elder Chi, this scroll has been hidden for a long time. It's obviously expired. We don't even know if the body-strengthening fruit is still around. We don't even know if the body-strengthening fruit is still around." The man in the Cheongsam said, "I'm your VIP and you're giving us this kind of information. Do you have any new information?" Selling scrolls was, in fact, selling information. What was the use of this kind of old information that was kept hidden for so many years? Even the chances of picking it up were very small. After all, some worlds had been plundered over and over again. Don't even think about picking it up. That world might not even exist anymore. Buying a scroll would mean nothing. They might not even be able to take a look at the body-strengthening fruit. Elder Chi put down the scroll and flipped through it for a while. You also know that things related to souls are all hot stuff. Once it's out, it's usually the first to get it and the last to get it. This is a relatively new scroll. It definitely exists in this world, Elder Chi said. Ning Shu asked, "Is there a newer one?" Going to the new world was better than picking it up. Elder Chi said, "Let me look again." Ning Shu was speechless. "Aren't you familiar with your own stall?" Elder Chi found the scroll. "This is really the newest one. However, this world is very dangerous. There are no rules and anything can happen. However, there are indeed many treasures. As for the price," Ning Shu waved his hand. "How much?" Elder Chi smiled. 5 million. Ning Shu, burp? The man in the Cheongsam said, "It can't be that expensive." Elder Chi stroked his beard and said, "It wasn't easy to get this information. Once you go to that world, you might not even be able to return. Of course, the price is expensive." Ning Shu hurriedly shook his head. "It's so dangerous, but you're still going. Let's go to another world. We're going to look for treasures. Don't lose your life. Let's go to another world." Ning Shu looked very timid. The Cheongsam man also nodded. "Then let's change to another world." Elder Chi was angry. "Change what? I'm not tired of looking for things. One moment I want this, the next moment I want that. How about I give you a discount?" Ning Shu asked, "How much cheaper can it be?" "Forget it, no, it's too dangerous." He only had 3 million on him, and the rest had been exchanged for merit. Ning Shu asked, "Do you accept merit grains?" "No, this thing will depreciate if the organization recycles it. It's boring." The Cheongsam man asked, "How much cheaper can it be?" 2 million. Elder Chen said, "Farewell. I won't see you out." In the end, after much haggling, the deal was finally settled at 3 million. Previously, it was 5 million. Now it was 2 million cheaper. Oh my God, this thing was really profitable. And this thing could only be done by old people. It was true that with one skill, one would never have to worry about food and drink. Ning Shu took the scroll and opened a passage to another world. After walking for a while, they landed in another world. However, the place where they landed was a little fucked up. It was an isolated island surrounded by the blue sea. There were seagulls flying on the sea, calling out. It looked very peaceful. Ning Shu used his mental power to scan the island. As a result, he felt an electric shock in his mind. The Cheongsam man next to him also hissed and looked at Ning Shu. The two of them looked at each other and said in unison, "We can't use mental power." "But why not?" Ning Shu patted his head. Anything could happen in the void world. There were no rules because there were no stable rules and laws. As for how to play, it all depended on the mood of the void world. Ning Shu looked at the endless sea. "Do you think we should swim or walk?" There was no land in sight. The Cheongsam man squatted down and scooped up the sea water. He said to Ning Shu, "You are the law of water. If you can control this thing, we can leave quickly." Ning Shu put his hand into the water. However, he felt like he had been bitten by something. It seemed like he had been bitten by something like a water snake in the water. Half of his arm was numb. Then, the numbness spread throughout his body. Ning Shu's body stiffened. The Cheongsam man pushed Ning Shu. Ning Shu fell straight to the ground like an ice cube. The Cheongsam man was shocked. "Fuck, what's wrong with you?" Ning Shu stiffened for a while. Then he came back to life. He moved his body and said to the Cheongsam man, "This water can't be touched. There's something in it. If you touch it, you'll die. I'm afraid I can't control this kind of water. This shouldn't be water." Ning Shu hammered his numb leg. If it was the Cheongsam man, he would have died. Ning Shu felt that his luck was a little bad this time. The Cheongsam man looked into the distance. "Then, are we going to stay on this island?" Ning Shu stared at the seawater. What had bitten her just now to use the power of the law of water? However, the laws in this world weren't even perfect. It was very difficult to use it. Ning Shu was a little worried that he would die in the sea before reaching land. Ning Shu said, "My soul is a little numb. Let's wait a little longer. Let's look around this island and see if there's anything good. Have you seen what the kidney-strengthening fruit looks like?" The Cheongsam man thought for a moment. "I've seen it at the auction. However, the price was ridiculously high. It was about 20 times the price of $3 million. That was the starting price. The auction price was even higher." Ning Shu was shocked. "Is this thing really that good?" The Cheongsam man nodded. "I heard that eating one can build a reinforced concrete effect in the soul. The soul's toughness will increase. The more you eat, the better. However, once you reach the limit, the effect will be weak. It's already not bad to be able to eat one." Ning Shu's desire for the kidney-strengthening fruit grew. It didn't matter how high the wall was. It had to be sturdy. It looked sturdy, but it was the difference between jelly and reinforced concrete. One punch could smash jelly, but it couldn't smash reinforced concrete. Ning Shu rubbed his body to dispel the numbness in his body. He kept looking into the sea. What had bitten her? With the power of the law of water, she should be able to see clearly what was in the water. However, it was hazy and she couldn't see clearly. Ning Shu found an excuse. It wasn't water. Since it wasn't water, it was normal that she couldn't see clearly. Ning Shu stood up and jumped. He didn't feel numb. He just didn't know if there would be any side effects. However, he wouldn't die anyway. "This island is quite big. Let's walk around and see if there are any treasures," Ning Shu said to the Cheongsam man. "I don't know if there's day and night here. If there's night, let's wait a little longer," the Cheongsam man said warily. Mobile users browse him. Read for a better reading experience. More complete novels follow the official WeChat account XBQJXS new Pen Fun Pavilion homepage. Many exciting novels are waiting for you. Chapter 3151. Ning Shu didn't insist that he go back. Although Zhu Jun liked to wander in the world of the living, what he said made sense. Ning Shu stood on a rock on the beach and looked into the distance. He couldn't see land at all. Ning Shu tried to see if he could walk or float on the surface of the sea, but he fell into the sea with a splash. He was bitten by something, and one of his legs went numb. Ning Shu quickly dragged her stiff legs and ran back to the beach to look for the wound. "I don't know what's in the sea, but it keeps biting me." The numbness got worse and worse. In the end, Ning Shu was as stiff as a block of wood. Zhu Jun was shocked and shouted, "Pippi Shu, what's wrong?" Zhu Jun patted Ning Shu's face again and again, but Ning Shu didn't respond. The man in the Cheongsam said, Stop patting. She'll be fine soon. She's already been bitten once. Zhu Li felt that he was slightly luckier. Although he also touched the water, at least he wasn't bitten. Maybe the thing in the sea had a grudge against Ning Shu. After a while, Ning Shu recovered from the numbness. He rubbed his face and said, "It keeps biting me. How am I going to go into the sea?" The man in the Cheongsam said, "We don't know what's going on in the water. Don't go in rashly. If you're bitten and don't move, you might be swallowed by something. It's too dangerous." Ning Shu said, "It's not on the island. I want to look in the sea. Maybe it grows in the sea?" Zhu Jun looked around the sea. The sea is so big. Looking for a fruit is like looking for a needle in a haystack. Why don't I go down and see if I'll be bitten? What's biting you? Ning Shu said. I don't know. I didn't even see what bit me, but it's definitely something small, not something big. Or it was some plankton, too small to be noticed. Zhu Jun said, then forget it. I'm not going down. It's impossible to guard against it. I can't be reckless. Ning Shu, I don't believe it. After the numbness in Ning Shu's body disappeared, he rushed into the sea again. This time, he wasn't bitten immediately. Ning Shu sank a little. The underwater world was rather beautiful and full of corals. However, the deeper one went, the darker it became. Ning Shu swam in the water, using the water law to wrap himself up. With the barrier, those things that were biting people would not be able to bite him. However, she couldn't use it. She was like an ordinary person, swimming in the water. The water pressure was very high, making her feel breathless. She immediately floated to the surface and walked towards the shore. However, his legs seemed to have been stung by something. Ning Shu immediately checked what it was. It was a very small thing that looked like a transparent shrimp. It was circling around his leg, waiting for an opportunity to take another bite. Ning Shu stretched out his hand to grab little shrimp and immediately went ashore. This thing looked small, but it was very poisonous. If they were not careful, they would be bitten. Even the bigger creatures in the sea would be paralyzed for a long time after being bitten by this shrimp. The shrimp kept biting Ning Shu's palm. As soon as he went ashore, he threw the shrimp on the ground. His whole body was numb and stiff. He became a corpse again. He had died several times here. Little shrimp jumped on the beach. Although it was small, it was quite tenacious. Zhu Li used a stick to poke at the transparent shrimp, but this shrimp suddenly became very big. Its whole body was red, and it was as tall as a person. Its pincers were very sharp. The Cheongsam man said, "What a big mantis shrimp." Zhu Jun immediately dragged the stiff Ning Shu away and guarded Ning Shu. He silently watched the Cheongsam man fight with the big shrimp. Why did he have to use a stick to hit it? Now he had hit such a big shrimp. It seemed that the creatures living in the sea all had very stiff shells. It was like iron. When it hit the body, sparks would fly. The two pincers could block most of the attacks for the shrimp. It was like a cannonball that spat at the opponent. The Cheongsam man was angry. If he wasn't bullied by crabs, he was bullied by shrimps. How could he be bullied by these things that were eaten? When he went back, he must eat shrimps and crabs. The Cheongsam man wasn't a weak person. He defeated the mantis shrimp with a big move. After Ning Shu's body recovered, he looked at the big shrimp silently. I wonder how the meat is? It actually has two battle forms. Ning Shu sighed. Could it be that this world only had this ocean and loneliness? These two things made up the world. There were especially many things in the ocean, and all of them were in a mutated state. There were a lot of them. They could be big or small. But how to get them? If this was a world, then the island must have been plundered over and over again. Such a small island could be plundered indiscriminately. Therefore, it was impossible for this island to have a kidney-strengthening fruit. Ning Shu stared at the ocean. The island had been plundered. Then, had these people plundered the sea? But the ocean was too big. And where could he find it? There were many underwater creatures in the ocean. Why couldn't he control this kind of water? The Cheongsam man dismembered the big shrimp. The meat was white and tender. It looked quite delicious. But when he thought of such a big shrimp, who knew what it ate to grow up? And it was poisonous. Zhu Li said to Ning Shu, let's go back. This trip was for nothing. Ning Shu said, "Do you think it's because they didn't give us enough money? So, they didn't tell us where the treasure is. Since they found out that there are treasures in this world, they should know where the treasure is." Zhu Li shook his head. Actually, even if Elder Qi knew where it was, he wouldn't say it. To a certain extent, it was to protect himself. If someone forced him to say it with Elder Qi's strength, he would definitely be able to protect himself. But it would be troublesome. Secondly, he didn't tell anyone. He just said that there are treasures in this world. If you can find it, it's yours. If you can't find it, it's not fated to be with the treasure. To a certain extent, it's fair. Everyone used the same money to buy the spatial passage. There's no more or less money unless you bargain. Elder Qi is a person of virtue and prestige. He definitely wouldn't sell information in different ways. Otherwise, there wouldn't be so many people looking for him to do business. Ning Shu said, "There's no kidney-strengthening fruit on the island. I want to go to the sea. There are many such shrimps in the sea. It's dangerous to go down." Zhu Li disagreed. "It can only be said that this world is really not new. We should have thought of it if Elder Qi could give us so much cheaper." The price of 5 million yuan was reduced to 3 million yuan. Ning Shu said, "It's okay. I'll go down again. I'll get used to the poison. Now that I've been bitten, the recovery time is getting shorter and shorter." His soul was already resistant to this kind of poison. Once he got used to it, it would probably be similar to a mosquito bite. Chapter 3152. The Cheongsam man asked, "Do you have to risk your life like this?" He looked up at the sky. It's going to be dark soon. After dark, the crabs might come ashore again. There would be so many of them, especially criminals. If you don't risk your life, you won't die. Ning Shu ran into the sea and came back after a while. She was bitten. There were so many of these small shrimps. Ning Shu stayed like a corpse for a while, then jumped into the sea and came back again. Cycle after cycle, one person creates in the sea. The Cheongsam man also wanted to come down, but Ning Shu shook her head at him. "You'll die if you go down." The Cheongsam man frowned at her. "Why won't you die?" Ning Shu said, "Because I'm already dead. You can't kill me." "How could you kill a dead person?" There was no way. Gradually, Ning Shu's ability to resist the poison increased a lot. The place where she was bitten only felt pain, and the numbness disappeared after a while. She should be able to adapt to the poison soon. Zhu Jun and Ning Shu shouted, "Pippi Shu, come up quickly. It's dark." Ning Shu crawled out of the sea with many small shrimps on her body. These small shrimps bit Ning Shu's soul tightly. Ning Shu pinched these shrimps to death before they became big shrimps. Big shrimps were especially difficult to deal with. As soon as the sky turned dark, many crabs came ashore like before. Ning Shu opened the world of samsara. This time, all the skeletons asked to fight. More than 2,400 skeletons joined the battle. She didn't know why these shrimps came ashore at night. Could it be that they came ashore to mate? Did they deserve it? The skeletons formed a big skeleton. They could kill many with one slap. In the morning, the crabs retreated. There was a thick layer of crab corpses on the beach. They were colorful and smelly. The surface of the sea was very calm. Ning Shu said to the skeleton and Zhu Jun, "I will go into the sea. If something is wrong, I will come back. Be careful." Zhu Jun pointed at the Cheongsam man. "Pippi Shu, bring him along too. Aren't you guys together? I'll keep a lookout for you." "No need. He has some restrictions." Zhu Jun said, "Oh, so that's how it is." His tone was full of meaning. The Cheongsam man opened his folding fan and told himself not to lower himself to the same level as a skeleton. Didn't this guy say that he was weak? The rules of this world were not complete. Who knew what abilities could be used and what abilities could not be used? Perhaps the skeleton felt that he had shown off his might, so he despised him for not putting in any effort? Skeleton is really bad. Ning Shu sank into the sea and swam faster. Because he couldn't use his spiritual power, there was an electric current in his mind as soon as he used it, as if something was interfering with it. Therefore, Ning Shu opened his eyes wide and looked around. Ning Shu found that there were many creatures at the bottom of the sea. They were densely packed and had all kinds of strange appearances. The one thing they had in common was that they were all very big. Sometimes, when Ning Shu was hit by these fish, it was like being hit by a 120-yard car. He was speechless. Ning Shu relied on her hands to move around, trying her best to reduce her presence and weaken her aura. Around these huge creatures, Ning Shu felt that he was really small. Even small shrimps were bigger than people when they swelled up. Ning Shu didn't know where to look. Seeing that many fish were swimming in one direction, he followed them. Usually, when underwater creatures gathered, they either lived in groups or gathered to hunt for food. Ning Shu's arms were sore from swimming. The water here felt like glue, and he couldn't swim. Fortunately, his hard work paid off. Ning Shu stood in front of a large forest. This was an underwater fruit forest. This fruit forest was full of fruits, and many fish were biting the fruits to eat. Oh my God! Ning Shu was so excited that his heart was about to jump out of his chest. They were all kidney-strengthening fruits. This thing actually grew in the water. It was too incredible. If the island really grew fruits in the past, it might be that the creatures at the bottom of the sea had eaten the fruits, or the seeds might have been placed on the island. For example, crabs would go to the island, and other creatures would go to the island regularly. Ning Shu didn't hesitate and swam over quickly. Now that his body was full of strength, he picked the fist-sized kidney-strengthening fruit. The kidney-strengthening fruit was green and round. However, when Ning Shu picked it, he couldn't pick the fruit from the tree. The fruit was very hard and hung on the branches. The other underwater creatures directly bit off the fruit stalk and ate the fruit. Maybe it was because these creatures ate the kidney-strengthening fruit that they had such a stiff shell. Ning Shu condensed a dagger and cut the fruit stalk. It felt like cutting iron wire. It took a long time to pick a fruit. Moreover, he would be hit by the swimming fish from time to time. The fish were very strong, and their bodies were as hard as iron. It would make people dizzy. After finally getting a fruit, Ning Shu quickly took out a jade box and put the fruit inside to prevent it from spoiling. When he picked the second one, Ning Shu planned to bite it. In the end, he almost broke his teeth. It was so hard. He wanted to bite an iron ball. Can this thing rot? Ning Shu very simply and roughly threw the fruit into the mess in space and happily picked the fruit. Ning Shu tried to pull a tree ashore, but the kidney-strengthening fruit tree didn't move at all. This was very awkward. Ning Shu could only obediently pick them one by one, gnashing her teeth in anger. After spending a long time in the water, Ning Shu quickly swam back to the shore. His head popped out of the water and he let out a long breath. Zhu Jun stood in the water up to his waist. He was looking around. When he saw Ning Shu swimming over, he let out a sigh. He followed Ning Shu ashore. The Chongsam man said, "I thought you died in the water." Ning Shu said, "I won't die." Ning Shu said to Zhu Jun, "Hurry up and pluck these crabs. There may be kidney-strengthening fruit pits in their stomachs." The Chongsam man raised his eyebrows. "So, you got something in the water?" Ning Shu took out a few fruits from the ring space. "Of course I got something, and it's a lot. This thing really grows in the water." The Chongsam man saw the fruits and was stunned for a moment. He didn't seem to believe that Ning Shu had really found it. There's a fruit forest at the bottom of the water. Seabed creatures eat this kind of thing, but it's very difficult to pick it, Ning Shu said. The Chongsam man touched his chest and felt that he was about to suffocate. There was another one that was really rich. The Chongsam man reacted and said, "Don't tell anyone about this." The people who scraped the ground back and forth didn't find anything in the water. They habitually thought that things wouldn't grow in the water. Even if they wanted to go into the water, the bottom of the sea was extraordinarily dangerous. So they missed it. Chapter 3153. Ning Shu nodded and said to the Chongsam man, "I was just about to talk to you about this. Don't tell anyone else about this." Of course, she wouldn't tell anyone about this. She was planning to record the spatial node of this world. With a location, she could build a spatial passage to this world in the future. There were so many fruits. If she told others, how many could she get? She would eat until she was full. Even if she couldn't use them in the end, she could still sell them to raise skeletons. This place would be her back garden in the future. No, it would be her back orchard. She just didn't know if this world was fixed. If it drifted and disappeared, or if it was suddenly destroyed, it would be terrible. So this time, she planned to spend some time to pick all the fruits. Even if something really happened to this world. At the very least, she had earned some money. But she still had to take some seeds back to cultivate. What if she could cultivate it? Ning Shu asked the Cheongsam man, "Do you know how to cultivate this thing?" The Cheongsam man said, "Who knows? If I knew, I would be rich." No matter what, these crabs could produce fruit cores. If they could cultivate it, how could they open a restaurant? If they opened a restaurant, there would be people causing trouble. If they could earn some money, they wouldn't have to pay for their meals, and they could even have a place to stay for entertainment. Ning Shu thought so too. If they could really cultivate it, it would be great. This thing wouldn't be so hard to find. Now that they had the kidney-strengthening fruit, they didn't have to hope to earn any money from the organization. The organization was too stingy. After completing the mission, they would have a lot of time to play around. The Cheongsam man put the fruit on the tip of his nose and sniffed. "Do you smell it? It smells so good." Ning Shu was a little suspicious. She smelled the fishy smell of the sea. It wasn't very fragrant. It must be the Cheongsam man's imagination. He said it smelled good, but it didn't. Zhu Jun found some fruits from the crab's corpses. The fruit core was the size of a thumb and was completely black. It was quite heavy in his hand. It was like holding a small iron bead. Ning Shu placed the fruit on a rock, condensed a sword, and slashed the fruit. In the end, there was no mark on the fruit core. It was really hard. Fortunately, she didn't break the fruit core with her bare hands. Ning Shu, it is indeed very hard. Ning Shu wanted to throw these fruit cores into the sea, or at least the location of the orchard. For fruits to grow there must be some special geographical conditions. Ning Shu put away the fruits. The next time he went into the sea, he would throw the cores into the orchard. Since he didn't know if they could survive in other places, he might as well throw them into the sea instead of running around with them. If these seeds took root and sprouted on land and grew into kidney-strengthening fruits, then this world might once again be searched for kidney-strengthening fruits. Then this world would attract wave after wave of mission enforcers. Perhaps someone would discover something at the bottom of the sea. Ning Shu was determined to make this place his own backyard. If others found out, could it still be called a backyard? Ning Shu asked Zhu Jun to continue looking for the cores of the crabs. She was going to go into the sea. It wasn't easy to pluck them in the first place, so he had to hurry. The Cheongsam man said, "I'll go with you." Ning Shu was silent for a moment. "Go down. If something is wrong, come up quickly." This place was for two people. If she didn't let the Cheongsam man go down, it would seem that she wanted to monopolize it. As for how many cores the Cheongsam man could pick, it would depend on his own ability. However, it was uncertain whether the Cheongsam man would come again next time. Ning Shu sat on the shore and watched the Cheongsam man go into the sea with his chin in his hands. He would definitely come up later. The mantis shrimp wouldn't let the Cheongsam man go. The seawater had already submerged the Cheongsam man's head. After a while, the Cheongsam man dragged his stiff legs ashore. Ning Shu condensed a sword and asked, "Which leg?" The Cheongsam man, "Both legs." Ning Shu cut off the Cheongsam man's legs to prevent the poison from spreading to the whole soul. The legs that were eroded by the poison dissipated. If the poison spread to the whole soul would probably dissipate. After his legs were cut off, the Cheongsam man's soul weakened a lot. Fortunately, his legs were condensed again. If he had a physical body, he would have lost his legs now. Ning Shu spread his hands and said, "You can't go down in this situation. Keep watching." The Cheongsam man, "Alas, that's the only way." Ning Shu said, "You can dig up the crab bodies on the shore and look for the fruit cores. I'll go down first." Zhu Jun chuckled and said to the Cheongsam man, "You can't go down in this situation. You'd better follow me to look for the fruit cores." The Cheongsam man could only nod helplessly. There was no other way. If he was bitten too many times, his soul might be gone. Or he would become extremely weak. Seeing that there were good things but he couldn't take them, he felt really sad. Although the skeleton didn't have a face, only bones, and couldn't make any expressions at all, the Cheongsam man still felt that the skeleton was gloating. The Cheongsam man sighed. He was really unwilling to be unable to see the fruit forest at the bottom of the sea with his own eyes. He knew that there were treasures, but he couldn't take a gold coin with his own hands. It was really terrible. Alas, maybe there would be some gains, but not as big as Ning Shu's. The Cheongsam man rested for a while and began to dig up the crab bodies with a wooden stick. There was a thick layer of crab bodies on the beach. If he didn't pay attention, he would step into a pit full of crab roe. Ning Shu took some of the fruit cores found by Zhu Jun with him. When he reached the fruit forest at the bottom of the sea, he directly scattered these fruit cores in the fruit forest. Then he cheered and began to pick the fruits. Although the fruit stems were very hard, it took a long time to pick one. But seeing such a large fruit forest, Ning Shu couldn't help but want to hum a song. Although he was often hit by the truck-like fish, he thought that this fruit might not only strengthen the soul but also the body, which made these fish so hard. He didn't know if eating these fish could also make the soul stronger. Ning Shu made a sound in his heart. He had to find a good way to speed up the picking. If he picked them one by one, he didn't know how long it would take. The next time he came, he would get a sharp tool. Ning Shu picked the fruits while looking around. He was afraid that this fruit forest also had an owner. The few times he came to the void world, he ran into an owner's territory every time. When he went to find the spirit stone, he got a heart. When he went to find the soul stone, he ended up in the black fog's stomach. He didn't know if the fruit forest had an owner this time. These big fish and small fish were all eating this fruit. If there was an owner, the owner probably wouldn't be willing to let these underwater creatures eat his fruit. Even so, Ning Shu was still very careful. He used the dagger to cut the fruit stems while looking around like a thief. Psst. Chapter 3154. When there were a lot of fish, Ning Shu had to avoid them. Squeezing in the middle of these fish, Ning Shu felt that he was about to be squeezed into a pancake. Lei Feng was fucking strong. Ning Shu couldn't help but let out a skeleton-like chuckle when she thought about how her soul would become very strong. Taking advantage of the free time, Ning Shu observed the fruit tree. This kind of fruit tree was completely black. Even the leaves were black and had a metallic luster. He didn't know what was under the ground that could make these fruit trees grow. Ning Shu really wanted to dig out what was under the roots. However, there were so many fruits waiting for him to pick. This was the disadvantage of having too many treasures. He wanted to do everything. After staying at the bottom of the water for a long time, although he didn't need to breathe, the strong water pressure was still harmful to his soul. He had reached his limit after staying for so long. Ning Shu quickly surfaced and went ashore. He pinched the transparent shrimp attached to his soul to death and bit him like a mosquito. Basically, when he was bitten, it would only hurt a little. After that, he wouldn't feel anything. Even if there were shrimps biting him, he wouldn't feel anything. Why did he feel that there were shrimps all over his body? How much blood had he been sucked away? Zhu Jun and the man in the Cheongsam picked up a small pile of fruit cores. They were pulled out from the thick corpses. There was still the yellowish-green juice of crabs on them. The man in the Cheongsam asked, "Why did you come up?" Ning Shu said, "The water pressure is too strong. I can't bear it." With such a strong pressure, ordinary fish would be crushed into a bloody mist. However, the fish that ate the kidney-strengthening fruit had very strong bodies. They didn't care about the water pressure at all. Ning Shu took a kidney-strengthening fruit and ate it. Maybe it could make his soul stronger and he could stay in the water for a longer time. However, the fruit was very hard. He couldn't eat it at all. Ning Shu handed a fruit to the man in the Cheongsam and said, "Let's eat one first." Ning Shu thought for a moment and handed another one to Zhu Jun. Since the fish with flesh could be eaten, he didn't know if there would be any side effects if the skeleton ate it. The effect of merit was to make the skeleton harder, and the effect of the kidney-strengthening fruit was the same. The three of them sat in a row, holding a fruit and gnawing on it. Like Ning Shu, The Cheongsam man couldn't chew on the kidney-strengthening fruit. Zhu Jun was able to bite a hole in the fruit with one bite. With a crunching sound, it was as if he had bitten into a crisp apple. The Cheongsam man and Ning Shu turned to look at him. Ning Shu was very jealous. "Your teeth are really good." The Cheongsam man nodded. Zhu Jun said, "It's all right. This thing is slightly softer than the merit granule." The merit granule is harder. Since you have merit granules, why did you go through so much trouble to find this kind of thing? Using merit granules will have the same effect. Zhu Jun asked doubtfully. Ning Shu bit the fruit and left teeth marks, but he couldn't bite more. Ning Shu replied to Zhu Jun, "Our situation is rather special. We can't add merit to our bodies recklessly. Other than the army and the skeletons who could use merit granules, ordinary mission enforcers couldn't add too much merit to themselves. It was easy to cause problems, and the body of the mission enforcer might not be able to bear such a large amount of merit. It was commonly known as shortening one's lifespan. It was a counterattack, but in the end, the mission enforcer's body was damaged. Therefore, the organization prohibited mission enforcers from using merit. Merit was a reward from the heavens for meritorious people. Merit could allow the soul to receive preferential treatment in the afterlife, and it could also allow the soul to be born into a better family. It was like being born with a silver spoon in your mouth. Because they couldn't use it, they had to find something to replace merit. This was much more low-key than merit. It wasn't shiny. Zhu Jun said, "Oh," and finished the fruit with crunching sounds, leaving the core. He burped. "This fruit is quite hungry." Ning Shu and the Cheongsam man held the fruit in silence. It was so difficult to eat. Ning Shu looked at Zhu Jun from head to toe and handed him a fruit. The Cheongsam man looked at it and burped. "Oh my God, this is a kidney-strengthening fruit. It's not like it's an ordinary apple. Don't waste it by eating it one after another. Do you know how much this fruit costs?" The Cheongsam man hammered his chest, feeling that he was going to suffocate at any moment. Zhu Jun waved his hand. "I'm not eating it. This thing is a bit full. It's better if there's no merit. Merit could be absorbed in one go." He didn't have a stomach, but Zhu Jun still felt that his stomach was falling. The Cheongsam man choked and stopped breathing. He would rather die from overeating than be unable to eat anything. Ning Shu put away the fruit and said to Zhu Jun, "Later, you'll go into the sea with me." There were so many fruits. He didn't know how long it would take him to pick all of them. Things only belonged to him when it was in his hands. If it grew on a branch, anyone could pick it. "Zhu Jun, what if I get bitten by a mantis shrimp?" "You're so hard. You shouldn't be able to bite it. Go down and try. If you can, follow me. If you can't, then you can still dig up corpses on the shore." Zhu Jun glanced at the Cheongsam man who was eating the fruit. "I'll go into the sea with you." What was the use of a person who couldn't even eat a fruit? The Cheongsam man looked at the vast sea and felt that it was a pity. Why couldn't he go down? If he had known, he would have made a defensive prop and wrapped himself up tightly. Then, he wouldn't be afraid of being bitten by the shrimp. Ning Shu and Zhu Jun went into the sea. There was a poisonous shrimp that bit Zhu Jun. Ning Shu asked, "How does it feel to be bitten?" Zhu Jun was silent for a moment. "I don't feel anything. I'm all bones. I can't feel anything." "Then it's fine. Follow me to pick the fruit." Ning Shu swam very fast. Zhu Jun followed Ning Shu to the orchard. Ning Shu rushed over confidently. However, Zhu Jun was crushed by the fish behind him. His bones were broken all over the ground. Oh my God. Every time he saw the bones break, Ning Shu felt like he was having a heart attack. Zhu Jun slowly pieced his body back together. Ning Shu said, "These fish are very hard. Furthermore, you are in the water. You have to pay attention to your surroundings." Zhu Jun nodded. He moved his body, and the sound of his bones cracking could be heard. Ning Shu used a dagger to cut the fruit handle. However, Zhu Jun tugged and pulled the fruit off the handle. Ning Shu tried to tug silently. However, he couldn't move it at all. This was really fucking awkward. Why could a skeleton easily pull the fruit off and twist it off? Why couldn't she do it? Was there any difference between her and Zhu Jun? There was no difference. No, Zhu Jun had a lot of merit on him. He had eaten a lot of merit grains. Could it be because of the power of merit? However, Zhu Jun could be very fast. He could save a lot of time. However, Zhu Jun was always smashed into bones by the fish. Otherwise, he would be smashed to pieces by the fish. Chapter 3155. Ning Shu couldn't help but ask worriedly, "Are you sure it's okay for you to break the ground like this?" It would be fine if he was the one breaking the ground, but if he was attacked, what should he do? Although he could reform them, if the other party crushed his bones, how could he reform them? Zhu Jun explained, "The pressure underwater is very high, so it's easy to break the ground. It won't happen at other times." Ning Shu nodded and continued to pick the fruit. His movements were slow, but Zhu Jun used both hands and picked very quickly. Ning Shu gave up on picking the fruit and began to study the roots. The soil on the ground was very hard. Logically speaking, the bottom of the sea should be very soft. However, the soil here was very solid. When Ning Shu stabbed the ground with his dagger, it was as hard as a concrete floor. It was so hard. What was underground? Ning Shu dug near the roots of the tree and condensed a shovel to dig the soil. Zhu Jun was probably used to Ning Shu's craziness. He didn't say anything and used both hands to pick the fruit faster. The ground was stiff, and Ning Shu's arm was a little hurt from the recoil. It was probably because of the roots that the soil was so hard. Planting trees could prevent soil erosion. Ning Shu gave up on studying the roots. There would be plenty of time in the future. The most important thing now was to pick the fruit. He would study how to eat it later. Obviously, there was no way to eat it like this. He would make a tool to cut it into small pieces and slowly chew it in his mouth like virtuous granules. Or he could bite it and grind his teeth slowly. He would eventually be able to eat it. After a long time, Ning Shu and Zhu Jun had to return to the surface. The pressure was too great. Ning Shu was uncomfortable, and Zhu Jun's bones would crack. On the way back, they had to avoid some very large fish. These fish were very ferocious. They could probably swallow a ship in one bite. To avoid being swallowed by these fish, it would take a lot of effort to get out. After resting for a while, they had to sink down to pick the fruit again. They worked until the sky turned dark. The crabs were probably going to come ashore again. The Cheongsam man was probably scratching his head alone on the shore. Ning Shu told Zhu Jun to go back and deal with the crabs while he continued to pick fruits. Although it took a long time to pick them, Zhu Jun plucked very quickly. He had already plucked half of the fruits. When the sun rose, Zhu Jun would come down again, and he would be able to finish plucking them very quickly. During the day, Zhu Jun came down. The two of them dodged all kinds of underwater creatures and picked all the fruits. In fact, they didn't pick all of them, only leaving a little behind. He was afraid that if he finished plucking the fish, there would be nothing left to eat, and they wouldn't be able to escape when they caught up. On the shore, Ning Shu kept feeling that he had been in the water for too long. There was always a smell of the sea on his body. Even he could smell it. Anyone who got close to him would definitely be smelled to death. The Ning Shu Cheongsam man said, "Smell me. Do I stink?" The Cheongsam man nodded. "It is very smelly. The fishy smell of dead fish will probably not dissipate for a long time." Ning Shu. All right. Compared to smelling like fish, he would rather smell like fish after obtaining so many fruits. Ning Shu took out 5 fruits and gave them to the Cheongsam man, saying, "Here you go." The Cheongsam man was silent for a moment and accepted it. "Thank you." If he ate 2 or 3 of them and sold the rest, he could make a lot of money. He really couldn't get this thing this time. It was not good to ask how the other party's harvest was. He didn't know how big the orchard was. Ning Shu said, "Try not to let others know about this place." She had already recorded a space node. The next time she found this space node, she would be able to come to this world. She didn't need to look for Elder Qian. Elder Qian also built a one-time space channel according to the space node. He was selling information. The Cheongsam man raised his eyebrows. "This is my hush money." Ning Shu said, "What else? Why don't I just throw you into the sea?" After being bitten by the poisonous mantis shrimp, Even if the Cheongsam man had the means to survive, he would probably lose a lot of soul power. But that would make them enemies. If he revealed this place, more people would covet it. Even if he ate meat, he had to share some soup with the Cheongsam man. Usually, the two of them were in cahoots. Ning Shu didn't want to waste time on things that could be solved with benefits. The Cheongsam man curled his lips. Got it? When I auction the fruit, don't sell it. We'll let each other know so that we don't bump into each other and sell the fruit cheaply. Ning Shu nodded to show that he understood. The rarer something was, the less valuable it was. When the market was saturated, things would be cheap. This kind of thing couldn't be sold by the kilogram like ordinary fruit. It's about time to leave this place. I can't stand these crabs. The Cheongsam man was in a bad mood. Ning Shu said, "These crabs have eaten the fruit. Do you think it'll sell well if we catch some and eat them?" The Cheongsam man shook his head. I feel disgusted when I see this kind of thing. Besides, who would believe that these crabs and fish grew up eating kidney-strengthening fruits? Even if they believe it, someone will follow the clues and find this place. The gains don't make up for the losses. Making a dish will only make a little money. Although he knew that the Cheongsam man hated these sea creatures, what he said made sense. After all, the whole sea creatures were not as valuable as a kidney-strengthening fruit. Ning Shu opened the black hole and let Zhu Jun go back. Zhu Jun didn't say anything. Back in the world of samsara, Ning Shu and the Cheongsam man went back to the system space. Back in the system space, Ning Shu counted the number of fruits at once. In fact, there were a lot of them. There were thousands of them, filling up the mess in space. I'm rich. I'm rich. I'll sell some and keep the rest for myself. I can give some to the skeletons to eat. I still need these skeletons when I use the human wave tactic. I'll cultivate 2,000 elite skeletons first. Maybe I'll be able to lie on the chair and slack off in the future. Ning Shu opened the exchange store and looked for sharp tools that could cut the kidney-strengthening fruit. Since he couldn't bite it, he could cut it into small pieces. Ning Shu simply exchanged for tools that could deal with star stones. This tool could even deal with star stones. How could it not cut a fruit? Since it could be scraped, he could also cut the fruit into pieces and eat them. By the way, was the fruit clean? Ning Shu opened the chat system and asked the Cheongsam man, "Is this fruit clean? Can it be eaten directly?" Zuli, yes, it can be eaten directly. Souls can't be touched by unclean things. Unclean things refer to negative emotions and feelings. Well, she also ate food, so the food was definitely not unclean. So this fruit could be eaten directly. Fortunately, it could be eaten directly. He was afraid that he had to send it to the main system for purification like his soul, and half of it would be taken away. If half of it was taken away, Ning Shu didn't know whether he would be too rotten to send it for purification. Chapter 3156. Ning Shu scraped the fruit into small pieces and took small bites. He felt like he was biting a copper pea. He couldn't chew it no matter how hard he tried. When he put it in his mouth and bit it, there was a fishy taste. It was a little nauseating. Ning Shu felt that if he ate this, his whole body would taste like fish. After putting a piece in his mouth, Ning Shu gave some merit points to the skeleton. The skeleton had done a good job this time, so he had to reward it. He sent over 10,000 merit points and let Zhu Jun and the 4 people in charge look at the reward. He also gave a few skeletons to let the other skeletons have a taste. It was more or less an experiment. If the skeletons ate it, it would be better to use a combination of merit points and the kidney-strengthening fruit. Of course, it could also have a negative effect. In any case, he would eat the white mice first. Sister. Xia Mengtao saw that Ning Shu had finished talking to the skeleton, so she walked over and greeted Ning Shu. Ning Shu nodded and looked Xia Mengtao up and down. How's your stay here? Xia Mengtao smiled, revealing 2 rows of white teeth. It's okay. Everyone is quite good to me. It's good to get used to it. Do you feel a lot of resentment in this world? Ning Shu asked her. Xia Mengtao shook her head. Not a lot. Fortunately, I've absorbed it all. Some souls have a lot of resentment. Can I get close to them and absorb their resentment? During this time, Xia Mengtao had gradually become familiar with this world. She roughly knew that this was hell and that people reincarnated in this place. Souls were different and had different strengths. Some were dirty, some were clear. Some were full of resentment. Resentment was something that people and souls didn't want to get involved with. However, Xia Mengtao controlled resentment. Resentment was the source of her power. She couldn't control herself at all and wanted to get close to others to absorb their resentment. Ning Shu smiled. Of course you can. Those souls whose resentment was absorbed by you should thank you. Otherwise, when they were reborn, a lot of soul power would be extracted. The less resentment there was, the less soul power they could extract. At the same time, it also reduced the burden on the rebirth pool and slowed down the formation of the disaster beasts. This was killing two birds with one stone. However, you have to be careful of your own safety. If you get close to some souls, they will think that you have ill intentions. Just be careful. It was not easy to give birth to someone like Xia Mengtao. Xia Mengtao had been born because of many coincidences and opportunities that had happened to her. However, the malice they bore wasn't something ordinary people could bear. Xia Mengtao nodded. I know. I'm a little afraid that you'll be angry if I absorb it. Ning Shu reached out and patted her head. How could that be? He couldn't be happier. Try to absorb as much as you can. It's fine. The less resentment there is, the less impact it will have on the world. Ning Shu smiled kindly. If you have anything to say, just tell Zhu Jun. He will help you. Thank you. Xia Mengtao nodded. I'm relieved. After speaking, Ning Shu stuffed another slice of fruit into his mouth. After thinking for a while, he stuffed another slice into Xia Mengtao's mouth. For grinding teeth. Xia Mengtao wasn't afraid of anything dirty. Thank you, Xia Mengtao said vaguely. It was hard to speak with a slice of fruit in her mouth. After that, Ning Shu gave Li Si a few merit grains. Li Si was drifting away from the group of skeletons. He gave a few as a reward for guarding the reincarnation pool. Sooner or later, he would run away with his master. Since he couldn't keep Ning Shu, he gave up on the idea of tying him here. A forced melon wasn't sweet. If it was forced down, it wouldn't taste good. Looking at it made him feel bad. In the pool where he collected soul fluid, he collected 1 or 2 drops of soul power. They were the size of dewdrops and looked really pitiful. After spending a lot of money, he only got this little bit of soul power. Perhaps there weren't many souls that had lost their minds. Moreover, there were people competing in the world of reincarnation for such wandering souls. There were very few souls that could be absorbed by the array. Take your time. Perhaps when the world of reincarnation was overcrowded, there would be more souls. In fact, life and death were always in balance. Although there were many souls that didn't want to go to the afterlife, there were many souls that were willing to go to the afterlife. Ning Shu returned to the system exchange store. The Cheongsam man sent a message saying that he wanted to sell a kidney-strengthening fruit and asked Ning Shu not to sell the fruit for the time being. Ning Shu replied that he got it. Then he began to grind his teeth. The thing in his mouth wasn't a piece of fruit, but a piece of iron. If he made it into a fruit, he probably wouldn't be able to bite it. If he made it into a thin piece, he would be able to eat it eventually. He didn't know when he could eat it. If he couldn't finish it, he would have to take it out. If he came back from a task, he would stuff it into his mouth again. It was a little disgusting. But he didn't mind being dirty. Senior uncle sent a message asking her to take over the shift. Ning Shu pretended not to see anything. She lay on the sofa and grinded her teeth. She hadn't done a task yet. Why did she have to change shifts again? She just went to the world of nothingness and came back to deal with the star stone? How could it be so fast? Senior uncle, hurry up. I have to go back to Area A to change shifts. Ning Shu rolled his eyes. I can't see anything. Just wait. If she could wait, why couldn't others? At most, they would work to death. They wouldn't die from exhaustion, but they would be half dead from exhaustion. Besides, he smelled like sea fish now. He had to disperse the smell. This smell penetrated deep into his soul. The backup system, the main system asked me if you were here. How should I answer? Ning Shu opened his mouth and took out the fruit slice in his mouth. Of course, answer that I'm not here. Then he stuffed the fruit slice into his mouth again. The smell of the sea was really unbearable. He had to keep it in his mouth and couldn't swallow it. He didn't know if he could digest it if he swallowed it. What if it increased the burden on his soul? The backup system obediently replied to the main system. She said she's not here. Ning Shu thought he had never seen someone lie so frankly. This backup system seemed to be quite smart. At least it knew to ask for her opinion. But so what if she was here? So what if she wasn't? She had nothing to fear. She had only rested for a while. Ning Shu sniffed and felt that this narrow system space was full of the smell of the sea. So he lit a bit of agarwood, hoping to dispel the smell. However, as soon as the smell of agarwood drifted out, the smell became even stranger. This smell was simply indescribable. Ning Shu quickly extinguished the agarwood and went to a more open place. He went to Wood City. The smell of Wood City was very fresh. A gentle breeze could blow away the smell of salted fish Luther on his body. Ning Shu didn't go to crowded places. He stayed in the city lord's mansion. There were flowers planted in the garden of the city lord's mansion. When Ning Shu passed by, he directly smoked the flowers. The flowers drooped down. Ning Shu thought, oh no, it smelled so bad. He had to stay in for a while. Even if he sprayed perfume on himself like an he, the smell would probably be even worse. It was the ultimate smell of death. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.